And shout out to the mower shop and Fishers and my Toro from Paul, which is awesome. It cut through stuff. It was really the first time I'd fired it up. It was great. And then my neighbor Ron DeVault, he brought a blade over. But I think where we were, it had to be 10 to 12. I didn't get out and I didn't shove my ruler into the ground, take a picture of it, and send it here to a local weather person. But I'm assuming that it was around 10 to 12. So I don't even have one. You can't do it with a tape measure. But hopefully everybody is slowly getting back to normal. And I think I can speak for everybody out there. For the love of all that is holy, please take our kids back to school tomorrow, please. 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 There's no way that I can be alone with that sentiment. Bring our kids back tomorrow. No e-learning or snow days. I know that they won't appreciate that, but I know that I'm preaching to the proverbial choir out there. Hey, the one thing about it took me a while to get home last night too, but at least I got home in time to watch a scintillating overtime. That was awesome. Yeah, obviously I'm making a joke and being incredibly sarcastic. It was one of the worst overtimes that you will ever watch. And again, you find the Pacers losing to a team that you need to beat, you should beat. I don't know anybody else. They have been so awful at home recently. Send them out on the road. Keep them on the road. I saw that they got that San Antonio game. That was a postponement. Was that here? That was here, right? That was a game that's here on Monday because San Antonio had 4 dudes that tested positive for COVID-19. I'll be honest with you about that. And maybe it's because there has been the effect on the Pacers injury-wise. It's the situation with LeVert. It's the foot situation of T.J. Warren. We haven't had to deal with the COVID stuff. You see Jason Tatum of the Celtics now just making his return. Hell, they were 7-3 with him, 4-7 without him. Do you think he matters? He suggested, I think earlier today or last night, I can't remember when that presser was, but he's still feeling the effects of COVID-19. But, knock on wood for the Pacers, they've been able to sidestep that. The thing they haven't been able to sidestep would be winning games that you need to win. Winning games at home. And I know that there's no crowd. Certainly last night there was no crowd. And, there have been a few 2,500 number of crowds that they played in front of. And I know it's different and all that. But, it's still your home rim. Then you always feel better shooting in your home gym, your home rim. You kind of know everything that's going on. You understand the backdrop. You're used to it. There's just that level of comfort. You're in your home routine. You're not on the road routine. Or, if it's like us, you're not loading up on a bus and going someplace and then getting off and, trying not to fall asleep on the way there. Having the assistant coach or the freshman coach or whomever knock you in the head because you're dozing off. Anybody? See, that was a thing for us. We had to drive a while, let's just say. Like if you're driving to Shoals or something like, there's no way you're not going to fall asleep on that ride because you just run up and down and over. Either fall asleep or get sick, one of the two. Car sick or bus sick. Okay, coach, either you let me take a nap on the way or I'm going to puke all over the back of this bus. One of the two. Because it's like riding a damn roller coaster, that US 50 it is. But you would have to think that in your own place, in your own arena, there's that comfort level that the Pacers just don't have. And to me, it looks like a combination of sorts here. Last night, it was awful because it was just nonstop missed layups. Sabonis, Turner, Brogdon, Holiday. It was just a line of missed layups. And I know that they were out without McDermott. And believe me, that is a difference. And it can be a difference against a team like Chicago. And I'll also share with you this. If you've watched the Pacers in the past couple of seasons, plus against the Bulls, there are some games, and this is during normalcy, mind you, but there have been some games against the Bulls in the not-so-distant past that the Pacers probably should have lost. Now, I always think about that game where Justin Holiday was a member of the Bulls and he put up 19. I think the Pacers ended up winning that game. You know, you remember that Victor Oladipo game where he hit the shot? There have been a lot of games against the Bulls that they should have lost. So the Bulls have a shot maker, and the Bulls have an end-of-game scorer. They have a guy, an absolute go-to. And a couple of times in the past, Levine has not come through. He did come through last night. Because you don't even really get to overtime if he doesn't make that fall away, going to his right, floating three-pointer over Sabonis when they were down one. I mean, you probably don't even go to overtime. I mean, the Pacers probably take advantage of that situation where you think they may rebound it. You're hoping they rebound it. But they take advantage of that and, maybe close it out from free throws and win that game. But you go into overtime, and the Bulls kept playing, and the Pacers kept missing. It wasn't just layups in the overtime period. It was three-pointers. And maybe all this works itself out because, again, if you host a show, you got to talk about the bad. And when you talk about the bad, everybody says, all you do is rail on the Pacers, and that's absolutely untrue. That's not all I do. I watch every minute for a reason because I want to have a good take for you every single time that they play. And I want to be able to have a good conversation with you. I don't want to just read the box score and go, oh, well, this is what happened. What do you think? I want you to ask me what I think. And yes, what I think, missing McDermott last night, and this is not excuse division because there are still things that are going wrong and may not be ironed out even when those two guys, LeVert and Warren, get back on the floor. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to perimeter defend better. The Bulls were just whipping the ball around last night, especially when they made that run and they got up 9. When they made that run, what's his name, Saturansky or Saturans or whatever the hell his name is, made 2 or 3 threes. Ball was whipping around. I think Garrett Temple knocked down 1 or 2. Garrett Temple even had a step-in 2-point shot over that course, but they were moving it. They were driving, they were dishing, they were making the extra pass, and the Pacers had no offensive flow. They certainly missed McDermott. When you're already missing 2 dudes and you're missing a guy that had been scoring lately like McDermott, that does matter. There's no question about that. I mean, when Edmund Sumner comes in, he gives you energy, but he's not going to give you shot-making ability. He does give you energy. He goes at it hard, but he's not going to give you shot-making ability. And the Pacers just frankly had way, way too many easy ones that they missed. But I don't know when those 2 guys get back if perimeter defense is all of a sudden going to change dramatically. Guys getting around the Pacers D, driving to the basket, if that's going to change. Miles had a number of blocks last night, but he also... Kobe White found a way to get around him a couple of different times, found a way to score over him, floated it over the top. And I like Thaddeus Young a great deal. Thaddeus Young, I don't know if that was a statement against a former team or what, but he went out there and he played, I thought, toughness-wise, to a level that the Pacers bigs didn't reach last night. And he was doing that work off the bench. And he was doing that work as an undersized big. And they were utilizing that between Young and Denzel Valentine. You got to be able to take advantage of that. And for the Pacers, unfortunately, it was the other way around. Those guys took advantage of them. So I'm kind of caught in the middle here. I want to see what this team looks like when and if at some point both these guys get back. But I've watched this enough to know, and I know these players that are going to come back enough to know you don't know whatsoever if there's going to be much of a difference made on the perimeter defensively. I mean, they're going to rebound better. They're going to sweep that defensive glass better. Just things that we'll watch moving forward. Now, when you look around the NBA, you do see games like this for even the better teams. And Milwaukee has gone through this. All these teams end up going through this. Philadelphia has gone through this. Maybe not so much Utah. We'll see if the Lakers are able to do without Anthony Davis for now an extended period of time. 2 to 3 weeks is what they initially said. But again, we're talking about teams on a different level. And the Pacers are just trying to keep their proverbial head above water. It would have been a lot easier for them to do just that had they taken care of last night a team that you need to, that you have to. And I said the same thing about that New Orleans game. I kind of felt the same way after that Mavericks game. Common denominator with this, too, we're having this conversation against these so-called lesser teams after home games. I mean, it's not so much we're having this conversation after road games. I mean, yesterday was all about how they created separation against the Hawks in the fourth quarter on Saturday night. And they created that separation with a lineup that had played together less than a minute up until that point. Yeah, last night they just backpedaled. And they backpedaled with a group minus Doug McDermott that should have been able to get that done. A couple of games under 500 at home. I mean, even in trying to survive, even in trying to keep that head above water, you got to win those games. You just do. And that was unfortunate. That was winnable. I will say this. I would have to completely disagree with Quinn when Quinn kept saying it was like 30 seconds to go and they were down 7. They got plenty of time. I'm thinking, I don't know if they have plenty of time here. I mean, even when they scored, it seemed like that it took most of the shot clock for them to score. They weren't scoring quickly. They talking about the Pacers. So I don't know. I think my plenty of time differs to that of what is plenty of time. Well, I was going, you got to hustle up and get going here. Yeah, get a foul. I mean, hell, the Bulls dribbled around for a while. They, I think, rubbed, 5-6 seconds off that clock late in overtime because they couldn't get a foul. It was over. There was no plenty of time going on. But for whatever reason, we often have this conversation about this Pacer team following a disappointing home effort. And granted, it's without fans or whatever. But there should be a great deal of comfort just in your routine when you are playing at home that we have not seen too much of this year for whatever reason. Maybe you get too comfortable at home. Maybe it softens you up a little bit. But they've been much more enjoyable to watch for me on the road than at home. And those two records, I think, speak for themselves. We can hit that if you like it, 239-1070. Email address is jmv at 1070thefan.com. A lot of things that we talked about yesterday, I can't imagine where they end up making any more deals. But if you look, Kyle and I were looking at the salary cap situation, not in the luxury tax, but over the cap. How many teams are over the cap right now in the NBA? I mean, you have teams that are over the cap, and then you have teams that are in the luxury tax.
Over the cap, only 2 teams are not over the cap right now.
Only 2 teams not over the cap. And then I think it's maybe half. Is it less? A little less than half the league that's upwards of the luxury tax
You got
threshold
about
right now.
14 teams that are flirting around. The luxury tax is 132 million. You got about 14 teams in that 132 to 126 million right now.
And you're
the
probably
Pacers are one of them.
Yeah, you're probably going to see more than just Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond become available here pretty soon too, because these teams are going to start to make financial situations for the future, those that feel that they're completely out of it right now. So it shall be more than just these two particular former high-level players trying to recapture that. They both still can put up numbers, but certainly in the case of Blake Griffin, he's not what he once was. And we shall see where they end up. So we can hit that at 239-1070. Email address is jmv at 1070thefan.com. On Twitter at jmv1070, where the question was asked a little bit earlier. And I've said this, and I tried to make this point yesterday. Sean says, do you think the Colts will get Russell Wilson? I don't. Do I think it would be great if they got Russell Wilson? I do. Now, some of you out there right now are going, let's have that conversation. Others of you out there are saying, why are you having that conversation? Because there's no way in the world it's going to happen. And while I agree with that assessment, again, what I'll tell you is when you are in quarterback purgatory, you take in anything at that position. You try to justify having any conversation whatsoever. Think about where you are right now with it. And this is something we hit late in the show yesterday. Think about where you are. The multitude of things that more than likely, if the Colts had, let's just say if it were the Luck era, and there is no doubt if it were the Manning era, you would laugh. You would laugh at yourself trying to justify Carson Wentz in a trade where he is right now. Sam Darnold in a trade that hasn't been mentioned. Bringing back Jacoby Brissett. Trying to take a look at a fourth-round quarterback that you know nothing about, that did not get a chance to play a year ago, trying to justify him getting the football to start the season. Again, the point is this. When you're in a situation without a quarterback, it is much easier to justify conversations that when you do have a quarterback, that you laugh at that person for trying to have with you. And that's just where you are. And that's what I told you. When all this got underway, I said, listen, we are going to talk about 95% of stuff, and you're going to look back on it and go, why were we even having that conversation? And Russell Wilson may end up being one. He may end up trying to get his way or get his way out of Seattle. But there's a reason why you're having that. There's a reason why you're having that conversation. Is because it is the quarterback abyss right here. I mean, there's a reason why you try to justify, well, it'd be okay if they brought back Jacoby Brissett. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. And I know that they love him, and I know that he was a team leader, and I know that he fits in. But no, it wouldn't be a good thing. That means you whiffed on everything else. How is that a good thing? So a guy that had the ball here for the better part of 2 consecutive seasons, that got replaced by a 38-year-old last year, and you know you need a quarterback, and you're justifying that it's okay if they bring him back. No, it's not. It's not on any level okay. Unless you present to me a situation that makes sense. I'm going to tell you what, I don't know if it was Stephon. I got to give credit where credit is due, because whoever brought it up last week about, you know what, the Colts are like a year too late on this. They should have played this year's role last year, and then you would have been on the path of moving forward with a quarterback and have more options. Listen, I don't know, because I like a team that feels as if it should be competitive, playoff competitive, divisionally competitive, to do just that. But it did get me thinking. So think about that for a moment. Think about some of these quarterback situations that you've either justified to yourself, to your friends, to me, via whomever in social media. And if you had a quarterback and somebody else was trying to justify that point of view to you, you would laugh. What? So with this Colts team that they have right now, you think it's okay to go ahead and put Jacob Eason in there as a starter? So you want to rewind Jacoby Brissett for a third time? I mean, to me, if it happens like that, which it won't, but if it were to happen like that, that's just an incredible offseason whiff by the Colts organizationally. There's no way. But again, that's where you find yourself. That's where you find yourself conversationally with an opinion about your favorite team when your favorite team does not have a quarterback. You haven't been down this path a great deal, but for the past couple of years, I think you've got a load of it a little bit more, certainly now. I mean, last year it was just kind of, well, Phillip Rivers, is he done? Can he do anything? Is he going to elevate this team? Yeah. Did they do the right thing? And then a lot of people felt that an option was Tom Brady, which it wasn't. They do the right thing. Should they have gone after somebody else? Early in the season, it was, look at what Cam Newton's doing in New England. The Colts should have taken a flyer on Cam Newton. Then by the end of the season, you're thinking, I'm glad the Colts did not take a flyer on Cam Newton. Same could be said about Andy Dalton. Same was talked about regarding Jameis Winston. That is just what happens when you don't have the guy. And when you have the guy, it makes it a lot easier. I mean, hell, even for the general manager, you can come out and say, listen, we can't be about one dude. When ultimately he knows, we all know you are about significantly one dude. That is just the way that it works. And we can discuss that if you like at 239-1070. Email address is jmv at 1070thefan.com. This show is on YouTube Live. Whenever I log in, we'll see what everybody is talking about. Hopefully everybody goes back to school. Am I on the right page with you there? Kids back to school. Shout out to JJ on that snow day. Hashtag snow day. I'll tell you what, man. Both my kids, you guys have this problem too. So they go outside and they get snow all over them, wet and freezing, come in the house, drop the clothes right there, wet and freezing clothes where they're standing. And then, 30 minutes later, after they'd spent 5 minutes outside, 30 minutes later, they're ready to go back out again, go to the closet, get just all new clothes, and do the same damn thing again. I had to put my foot down today. I said, listen, I know this is fun for you, but it is brutal for me. Stop it. Put on the same clothes. I don't care if you're wet and you're cold. I know it's single digits. All day today. In and out. Got to get new clothes. Got to do this. But hopefully everybody is having fun. You can tell it's a damn good thing I went to. Can you imagine me at home right now? Like, that's why I can't do shows at home. People say, why don't you do your show at home? When you do your show at home, you get incredibly lazy. And I wouldn't want to do that. I want to come in here, like, I want to see Kyle. I want to have conversations with Kyle about the show. I want to see people that I work with most, and I want to be here. And people have a tough time understanding that. But, the one time I was at home was back in November, and I was dying. I mean, you had Joe and my friend Brent Holverson. They were at a bar, and they're having a great time, and I'm at home in my underwear going, what? I'll have a little fun with it. Snow day. Just make the kids go back out in it. Just like, hey, put it on. I know your socks are wet. Put them on. But, you can't keep going 19 different changes of clothes here.
The key is you just got to immediately throw it in the dryer so it's good in 20 minutes when you go back out. That was what I did when I was a kid.
Did you? Yeah, I kind of did that. I guess I did our version of it is throw it over the heater register, which is not a good thing to do. I realized that. Shout out to Love Heating and Air, who would tell me right away that is not a sound decision to make, Dad. That's why I have them. That's why I need somebody with my back like that. I'm going to throw them into the oven like Kramer did. Remember in the calzone episode of Seinfeld? There you go. Throw them in the oven. About, I don't know, 365 or so for 5 minutes. Get them back out, warm, ready to go. But, man, there are some big hills down near us. And I loved it back in the day, too. We had our own thing. But I didn't use – they have all these plastic and these saucer-looking. We didn't have the saucer ones. We just had the kind of radio flyer. We had the ones with the rails. And you can kind of half-ass steer them.
No, you had, was it
right?
like wood?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are, they got the cheap ones now you can get for $5 at Walmart. The plastic little saucer that you slide down.
Did you wax up the rails too, like we did? Soap up or wax up the rails so you can go faster?
I liked the plastic sleds more. You go faster.
See, the problem is you would go faster on the rails, but you couldn't do it on a hill. Like snow like today wouldn't work. But if it was packed on a road where may be some ice mixed in and underneath it, because we had a great one, we'd go right down a hill into Owensburg and then hang a right and go down Switchboard Hill. It was awesome. And we'd race, and you don't always get those types of days, and you can't use those ones with the rails out in the grass. But, man, when you got something like that, it's like a bobsled. It really was. Like 2 or 3 times in my existence, it kind of felt like a bobsled. Just rub a little wax or with paraffin, soap those rails. Hopefully you're having a good time today, but hopefully you all go back to school coming up tomorrow. Rakestraw, bottom of the hour. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, 4 o'clock hour. Jay Michael, the star. We'll go over the Pacers, where they are, get an update on McDermott, get an update on both LeVert and Warren, and then preview their next up. That's in Minnesota coming up tomorrow night. Jay Michael on the 5 o'clock hour. This is 93.5, 107.5 at 1070 The Fan.
My name is Taylor McLean, and my brother saved 5 lives. In 2016, when my brother, Hoosier race car driver Brian Clausen, tragically died in a racing accident, he became a hero because of his decision to be an organ donor. That decision has inspired countless others to do the same.
All of it was such a story, and the way it all connected together, every layer of it.
NASCAR champ Ryan Newman sat down with Indiana Donor Network and shared what inspired him to join the Driven to Save Lives movement.
The reality was he did a great thing, but the chain of events and how it affected other people, I believe, made him a legend. Made him somebody special, even more special than just being a race car driver, than just being a friend or a family member. When you're giving like that, you become legendary.
Join the movement and sign up as an organ donor at driventosavelives.org.
Spectrum Mobile is the fastest growing mobile provider in the nation. It's easy to see why millions have chosen a better way to mobile. With Spectrum Mobile, there are no contracts and no added fees. Even nationwide 5G is included at no extra cost. Switch today and you could save big. Grab your current mobile bill and use the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator to see how much you can save. Go to spectrummobile.com/saving today. Spectrum Internet required based on Q2 2020 subscriber data. Services not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Michael. But since he is so focused on growing his career, we hired an actor to read his story.
If you want a job where you get out as much as you put in, Geico is the best place to work. Plus, we promote from within, so there are no ceilings placed on your opportunities.
They even offer parental leave to full-time employees. So there's nothing stopping him from going all the way to the top. But not too high. He's scared of heights.
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
Sports Center updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Save big all February long at Big O with up to $190 off a set of Michelin tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Chris Ballard.
Who does Twitter have us taking today? Let's go.
All right, here it is. Today, it's Carson Wentz. Chef
I got breaking news here for Dan and his show.
All right.
We are exploring lots of options.
I knew that was coming.
If you're talking about it,
We can't talk about it, but we're exploring all possibilities. I'll tell you this, though.
Go ahead.
There's no trade going down.
we're talking about it.
Can you legitimately talk about him, though?
No.
Your home for Indy Sports, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, John, for your soccer scoreboard updates, it's brought to you by our hometown club, the Indy 11, heading back to Carroll Stadium for home matches this season. To keep up with all of the fellas in blue, download the Indy 11 app. Do that today. PSG and Barcelona hooking up 30th minute. Barcelona 1-0 over PSG. Also underway with no score as of yet, RB Leipzig and Liverpool. Of course, we shall keep you updated in the Indy 11. Back to Carroll Stadium for home matches this season. To keep up on all the things on our boys in blue, download the Indy 11 app today.
The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, out of the hour. J. Michael, the star, is going to join us in the 5. This is from Eric. So we grew up off of Bluff Road, close to a junkyard. I know exactly where that is, by the way. We would get car hoods. Oh, yeah, car hoods from the junkyard. I want to say this was back in and I have a pretty damn good memory. It was back in 1989, Eric. And I came up here. I needed a gas tank because I had an Audi 5000 1982 that I was driving around in 1989, right? Little 4-door. Had a leak in the gas tank. So I'd put some gas in it. I'd go park it, and it'd leak out. So I had to get a new gas tank. So I went to one of these, I think it was this place, Eric. And they gave me a gas tank, and the guy that put it on for me did not clean it out. So as soon as I put gas in it and started it, the injectors got clogged and screwed it all up. But I know exactly what you're talking about there. JMV, sitting here in quarterback purgatory, kicking back and listening to the show. My first larceny bourbon and ginger to celebrate my 68th. Jim McCann in Southern California. Happy birthday, my friend. That is fantastic. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Our friend Greg Rakestraw, he does join us right now. I asked this question yesterday. I know that I had over 70 snow days at Eastern Green from K through 12 when I was in school back in the day. Do you have any idea? Can you guesstimate where you might have been? Would that be over or under 70 at Lanesville?
The answer is under in terms of ones, because we'd have to make those up because you went to school in the sweet spot of snow days. A, you had the 78 blizzard, and B, in 1988, the year that you graduated from Eastern Green High School, we had to start making up snow days from that year on. So, we had stretches of time. Like, I remember we got an entire week off my senior year because of the Martin Luther King Day blizzard and snowstorm. And then subsequently, the next night, the coldest temperature ever recorded in the state of Indiana was in New Whiteland, was the day after that foot of snow dropped back in January of 94. So we had to make all those days up. Now, my senior year, like, if you didn't miss a day the last semester, you had to come back for the final week of school, which was wonderful. So
Sounds like he disappeared right there. So Greg Rakestraw's phone just kind of went poof and disappeared. It was strong, and then it was gone. Normally you want to know, why did you wait so long? I wait about 3 seconds because sometimes with his phone, it fades and then comes back in 3 seconds, but it didn't. I mean, poof, and it was gone. Can't be helped. Greg rejoins us right now. I don't know what the hell happened right there, but it's all good. But, yeah, over 70 was for me back in the day.
Crazy.
Easily. Hey, we got sectional pairing show coming up on Sunday, correct, for the fellas?
That is correct. Chris May will join me for that one. So Sunday night we will have all of the pairings for 4 different classes throughout the state of Indiana.
Who is the Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana to this point of the season to you?
Oh, my goodness. of all years, it's tough because you've got a guy like Luke Brown who is doing remarkable things from an individual standpoint. But I do think there is a likely stopping point from either the regional or the semi-state level. Again, they've lost to a team in their sectional, so it's possible they don't get out of the sectional. But I think he is going to be the fifth leading scorer in the history of Indiana high school basketball. Again, he's going to Stetson, so he's not going to one of the major schools. So if you look at the guys that are going to one of the larger schools, Trey Kaufman obviously comes to mind. That's going to play for Purdue. And he is playing for already a one-time state champ and then a potential second-time state champ. The same thing said about Caleb First at Blackhawk Christian. That would be in that mix. If Homestead runs the table, you would think that Luke Goody, that's heading to Illinois, would be in that mix. So this year, because the senior class is so deep and there are so many options, I do think that what happens in March and even in April is going to determine who gets Mr. Basketball this year.
It's Greg Rakestraw. He is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Did Luke Brown, he's from Blackford, correct? Did he have any offers in the state of Indiana on any level?
I don't know if he got like Mid-American Conference offers or Missouri Valley Conference offers. He ended up going to Stetson. There's a young man from Monrovia, the Smith kid, that is there now, that is getting some playing time. Dan Beret, that used to be the head coach at IPFW, is the head coach at Stetson now. That was a pretty early commit in the process for a guy that I thought would get a little more kind of statewide attention. So he could have had other offers from like the MAC, Missouri Valley. I don't think he had anything from like a Big Ten level, but I don't know for sure, John.
So, Greg Rakestraw is with us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I want to get to the Boilermakers and Michigan State and the Big Ten and down the stretch coming up with you in just a minute, but I did want to bring this up because we talked about before. Josh Sable is a friend of mine. His daughter Suri and my daughter Lainey are friends and play basketball together. He is the head coach at Franklin, and they are having an incredible season. I wanted you to speak on that because they've got a young cast of girls, and they shoot the three. They play like this era of basketball when it comes to utilizing the three-point line. But first, Jeremy had sent me something a little bit earlier via Facebook and wanted to get in a couple of bits and pieces about Greenwood Christian and what they're doing with their girls program going into the semi-state this weekend.
Well, first of all, congratulations to Franklin, because this is a program that last had this level of success when Wall Raines was coaching over 20 years ago and when they were playing at the 3A level and not the 4A level. This is the first sectional, let alone regional, they have won since 2008. And so this is really something cool that the Grizzly Cubs are putting together. And so best of luck to them. From a Greenwood Christian standpoint, I haven't had a chance to see GCA yet this year, but I do know they're running into a very good Lagodi team coming up in terms of the semi-state, and that 4 of the top 5 teams in the state in 1A all came from the same regional, that being the one that Springs Valley, because Lagodi beat Tecumseh. Lagodi before that beat Trinity Lutheran. Tecumseh beat Lanesville in the morning game, and that's 4 of the top 5 teams were all in that regional. So it'd be a nice story for those two Johnson County schools both to play in the state championship games the following weekend. And you're right, what Franklin is doing is kind of the next evolution and something that we've seen to a lesser degree in high school basketball compared to college and pros, but it's starting to trickle down there as well.
I need to give a shout-out, too, to Brian Smith and my friend Chris Reed. They're both longtime friends of mine down with that Lagodi program, and we had a kind of oddballish nickname for Brian Smith when we were at Indiana State back in the day. It rhymes with Smitty. But he's done one hell of a job with that girls program in Lagodi.
So you're telling me I probably can't use that nickname if I have the Lions in the state championship game next week?
Let me tell you this. If you do have it, make sure off the air you say, JMV said you guys used to call him Blanky Smitty, and he'll completely understand it. That was his name. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of things that rhyme with Smitty, and committee is really all I can come up with. So I'm assuming that's what you call it. Yeah,
yes, exactly. But no, he's a great dude, and they have just the past 2 years have been spectacular for that program there.
Well, here's the crazy thing is that Lagodi and Pioneer could have a rematch in the girls basketball state finals in 1A. Obviously, Greenwood Christian and Northfield in the northern half of the bracket have other ideas. But those two schools played each other in volleyball in the state finals as well. And I know that I think of the 12 starters in the volleyball match, because I had that one in November, 7 of them had played in the basketball championship game some 7 months earlier. So if it plays out that way, a lot of those same kids would see each other for a third time. And right now the split is 1 state title each. Lagodi won the girls basketball last year. Pioneer won the volleyball in November.
Yeah, but shout out to Greenwood Christian, who is down there versus Lagodi, and that I think was the point. And they have Izzy. They have a girl that's been really good this season too, and he wanted me to give him some love. So I thought I'm going to ask you, who is the authority regarding that here in the state of Indiana, and you hit on that nicely. Well done.
Thank you. There was a lot of surprises last week, and it wasn't just the alma mater being knocked out, but I had seen North Central the week before, and they had been number 1 in 4A for most of the year, and they absolutely obliterated Lawrence North the week before and literally did everything right they possibly could. Made 11 threes, have a front court that started 6 foot or taller, and then they get knocked off by Brownsburg, a team they had beaten in a competitive game right at the very beginning of the season. So that was the big news of last week, was that North Central had been beaten, and Brownsburg backed that up, as they're the team that will take on Franklin in the semi-state coming up on Saturday.
It's Greg Rakestraw with us. Does the college basketball season, with the Blue Bloods not living up to any expectations and really living down to expectations together, if you're looking at Kentucky and Kansas and North Carolina and Duke, to a range in which we have never seen, does that make this college season more interesting or less interesting to you?
It makes it more interesting to me, but then I'm a fan. I think what it does is it makes it tougher for the casual fan to follow it. But let's face it, by the time we get to March and you start breaking down your brackets, it's your bracket that pulls you in. It's that competitive sense of wanting to win your office pool, even if you're doing it virtually. And I do think that by the time we get to the middle of March and the tournament starting, there'll be this realization, hey, we didn't get to have this last year. And so it's going to make it even more special. So I think it hurts the Q rating a little bit right now, just because those that are casual fans aren't exactly sure whom to follow, what to cheer for, et cetera. By the time we get about a month from now, nobody's going to care, man. Just tip it off and let's go play.
Completely agree there. What you're making the Boilermakers, too, I mean, they look the most solid in the state of Indiana right now. Not named Indiana State, but the most solid in the state of Indiana right now. But end of their past 2 games, it has not been glorious for them. What are they missing right now? To me, they have a go-to guy, but if that's taken away, they don't have that guy. If that's taken away whatsoever, what do you view, and how do you view the Boilermakers going into tonight's game versus Michigan State?
Just missing experience. Everybody is learning their role on the fly. And again, maybe the jump isn't as big because maybe this feels like AAU basketball to these guys. Without having fans, without having the atmosphere, obviously you still have the travel, so there is still something to be said for shooting on your own rims, playing on your own court. But at the same time, this group is learning together because there are so many new faces or guys that are doing different things than they've been asked to do in the past. So you're right. All the pieces are in place, and they're certainly capable of getting the job done. They're just learning how to do it on the fly. And so almost every mistake or misstep that you see this Purdue team have, I think you can chalk it up to inexperience for the most part.
What do you think about the Mo Valley? We were talking to Greg Lansing yesterday, and his team's won 8 of 9. They get Evansville again coming up tomorrow evening. And then you look at Drake and you look at Loyola and their 2 matchups in Des Moines over this past weekend in which they split those 2 games. Mo Valley as good, as competitive, you think? Maybe not at the bottom, but certainly at the top. It's been pretty fun so far this year.
Best it's been in 10 or 15 years. And obviously you had Creighton that stepped out of the league after the 2013 season. Then it became Wichita State's league, really, and they were unlike anybody else until they left. This probably goes back maybe early to mid 2000s, when you would think about the Valley getting 3 or 4 teams in. I think for the Valley to get 3, somebody other than Drake or Loyola would have to win the Arch Madness, which amazingly is like 2 weeks away at this point. Like, I think Missouri State and Indiana State have had good years. I just don't know if they'll get that nod for an at-large bid, even with some of the Blue Bloods being down. And again, you just don't have the normal cross-conference season, so you have no idea how the committee is going to weigh. Once you get past the teams that are above 500 in a power league, okay, how do you judge a 500-ish team in the Big 12 versus a team that's saying winning 70% of their games playing in the Missouri Valley, and you don't have any reference points as to common opponents and things like that? I have no idea.
The same way as they always do. I know that's the wrong answer, but
not good for Indiana State.
Yeah.
So I think Drake and Loyola have done enough to get themselves in. One thing to watch for Drake, they've got several kids from Northern Indiana, from the region, and one of them got hurt in the Hemphill kid, and I know of him well because he had played at Green Bay, and so I'm playing his IUPUI.
I think they expect him back by Arch Madness, is what they say.
Yeah. But honestly, I think for Drake and Loyola, they're playing for seeding. I think everybody else is playing to extend their season over in Arch Madness.
All right, Greg Rakestraw with us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, and I'm assuming you're busy tonight through the rest of the week, correct?
No, the snow kind of knocked me back a little bit, and I actually had a couple of nights off. So I was scheduled to have Danville and North Putnam this evening. That obviously is not happening. So now I'm kind of off until Friday. So here's my week: Carmel and Warren Central Friday on ISC and my NDTV. Carmel wins; they clinch the MIC championship. Warren Central has not lost since the Marion County championship game on January the 16th, and I will have the 1A and 2A North Semi-State games for the IHSAA Champions Network on Saturday, featuring Pioneer and Northfield, Tipton and North Judson St. Pierre, and then the aforementioned pairing show on Sunday night with Chris May joining me. By the way, Bob Lovell is doing very well. Just elected to take a step back on this one. We'll hear Bob back on the pairing show when we get back to the football season coming up in the fall. You'll hear Bob this weekend on Network Indiana's Indiana Sports Talk. And while I'm here, I do want to give a quick shout-out to Marcus Burke at IUPUI. He was named the Horizon League Player of the Week last week. Johnny had 36 and 34 in back-to-back days. He is starting to get up into the top 10 in terms of, I think he's in that neighborhood now, in terms of the leading scorers in the country. He was really good on a bad team last year. IUPUI has kind of found something these last few weeks. They're getting towards the middle of the Horizon League, and Marcus is having a tremendous senior season. I wanted to congratulate him and fellow seniors Elijah Goss and Jalen Manette for a really good weekend, getting a weekend sweep against UIC.
You got it. Greg, I appreciate you. As always, we'll do it again next week.
See you, buddy.
Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Izzy Reed of Greenwood Christian. Their top rebounder, she is a senior. Shout out to Izzy Reed and Greenwood Christian, and they have Legoti, which will have Coach Smitty and my man Chris Reed on the sideline for Legoti coming up in the semi-state. I actually took in a little bit, just the tail end of Stanford and Oregon, the women's game last night, because Sean Parrish's daughter, who was Miss Basketball in the state a year ago, is a freshman on that team. And I didn't know this. I'm assuming this. I didn't read it anywhere. I'm just kind of putting two and two together. Former Hoosier Mike Giomi, his daughter is on Oregon's team too, I think. I just put two and two together because he's in the Seattle area and she's from the Seattle area, and he's 6'8", 6'9", and she's 6'6". 2 and 2 together right there. That was a little bit of last night. By the way, the Oregon floor is the absolute worst in the history of floors. It almost causes you to turn it off regardless of what you. I can't even look at that very long. Awful. But that was last night, and I think Stanford won by a bucket last night. Those girls, like a girl that's 6'5". They got 3 or 4 6'5" and 6'6" girls. All right, Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, top of the hour. Latest on Carson Wentz, latest on any other conversation going on with Sam, top of the hour. Jay Michael, the star, talks Pacers in the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5, and 1070, The Fan.
It's cold outside, but things are heating up inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum as the Fuel continue their great season. For tickets, head to our contest page at 1075thefan.com.
Hey, it's Big Joe, and we know that anything can happen in a game, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't bet with confidence. BetMGM invites new customers to experience their favorite sports like never before with a risk-free first bet of up to $600. Just sign up using the bonus code BIGJOE600, place your first wager, and get your stake back up to $600 in free bets if you lose. The fearlessness doesn't stop there either. Enjoy BetMGM's innovative parlay selection features, live betting options, daily boosted odds specials, and much more. All you have to do is download the BetMGM app or go to BetMGM.com and enter that bonus code BIGJOE600 to get up to $600 in free bets on your first wager. Bet confidently on basketball, hockey, and all the sports action at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years of age or older to wager. If you know somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey, how we doing out there? JMV here with Lance and his team at LD Smith Plumbing. Just in case you have significant issues because of the weather we have going on or the weather that we're getting into, especially in the realm of frozen pipes. Whatever your plumbing situation, large or small, Lance and his team, they are there for you at 317-284-9526. That's who I use. And I feel good just because I know I have their number and I can call them and they're going to take care of me just like they will take care of you. I say it all the time. That peace of mind is important when the weather is like this. Any plumbing emergency, any situation large or small, the local company, LD Smith Plumbing, to the rescue. 24/7, 365, 317-284-9526. You mention my name to Lance and the team, they'll give you $50 off any service. That's $50 off any service. LD Smith Plumbing, 317-284-9526 online. That's ldsmithplumbing.com today.
Hey, it's time to check out the brand new Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood. This place is unreal. It's like a sports bar for your head. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood on State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Get an unbelievable haircut, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment for a great price. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men has won double-digit men's styling awards, and their talented stylists are delivering the best haircuts in all of Indy. On State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Lady Jane's in Greenwood, it's wicked awesome.
This is Dave Magine with B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. For a free second opinion on your furnace or air conditioner, look us up at BigBlackTrucks.com.
B&W, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
The Pacers are on the road to play the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow night at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, Greg Rakestraw, always good. Podcast that one up. A little college, high school mixture for you. Yeah, I know Josh Sable a great deal. I actually saw him in Kroger on 135 where I saw everybody. Where I see everybody. If you want to reconnect with anybody you haven't seen in a while, if you're on the south side, go to 135 and Smoky Road. Go to that Kroger and you're going to see everybody that you know right there. Let me tell you this, too. Saturday, in preparation for the cold temps and the snowfall of yesterday, was chaos. It was chaos. I parked so damn far away from everybody. I said, you know what? I'm going to walk all the way up there because there were cars in, and it was ridiculous. You guys ever go to the local county fair? And they have the demolition derby? I swear to you, it looked exactly like that. I mean, a NASCAR restart had nothing on that Kroger parking lot. Hey, inside the lounge on YouTube Live, my man Doug Brown says, I love that MTV shirt you're rocking right now. What is your favorite 80s music video? Hello. Man, that's a good one right there. It's probably the real cheap-ass ones of the early 80s. Like, like I ran by a flock of seagulls when the camera's just going round and round with, the lead singer, and they get the mirrors, and you can like see the camera and the reflection in the mirror, like that. Or the Gap Band, You Dropped the Bomb on Me, when they get and they do that kind of line dance thing where you stand in place and you dance. The Commodores do it in Lady, You Bring Me Up When I'm Down. No, that's one you need to watch right now. If you guys are anywhere near YouTube, you can still listen to this show, but go ahead and bring up Lady, You Bring Me Up When I'm Down by the Commodores. And it's Lionel Richie before he leaves the Commodores. That's right before he goes solo. And Lionel Richie and his bandmates are out playing soccer and dancing in a line with a bunch of chicks. And this is like straight out of the 80s early chick of the decade handbook. It is awfully awesome, if I can put it that way. Lady, You Bring Me Up When I'm Down. That's going to be my favorite right there. Because you can tell they just thought, okay, what are we going to do for this video? This whole video thing's really new. We're going to go out on the soccer field in Southern California and kind of jackass around a little bit and just roll some tape. Got some chicks, and we got the Commodores on the other side. See what happens. Lionel Richie's got some grape smugglers on. What can go wrong? What can go wrong? I mean, all these dudes, got the era, the grape smugglers. Luckily, the hogs stay in the barn. It was all good. What can go wrong? JMV at 1070thefan.com's email address. JMV, I think this Pacer group just looks tired, and I would agree with that, Casey. You see it in the missed layups, all the shots hitting the front of the rim. Nate is running these guys into the ground with this 8-man rotation. They had 4 guys log 40-plus last night. Nate either needs to figure out what to do at the bench, or Kevin Pritchard needs to get him some players that he feels comfortable in getting off the bench. That's Casey in Ellettsville. Casey is right about the minutes. Absolutely right. Get back to that coming up on the other side. And in fact, Jane Michael will discuss that with us in the 5 o'clock hour. Latest on Wentz and what is going around in the world of offseason NFL conversation. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, kicks off the 4 o'clock hour with us next.
A lot of talk about Andrew Luck. How did the meeting go between Luck and Irsay?
What they did not have is a loaded question. There was no meeting. I mean, that's great. Andrew's retired. He's been retired.
If you're talking about it,
He's going to still be retired.
You guys reach out to him?
We talk.
We're talking about it.
I mean, I talked to Andrew. I mean, I figure if Andrew wanted to play, he would just say, hey, you know what, Chris? I think I want to play football again. Oh, God, here goes the next Twitter mob will be on this one, man.
Your home for Indy Sports, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, John here for Love Heating and Air. How's your heating unit doing? If you don't know by now, you may not know, but if it's struggling wrong, right, and you feel that you need somebody to look at it, or if you just need something done in particular, and you're kind of freaking out because you're thinking, man, now we got 12 inches of snow around here. What a horrible time. No, it's not. Because any time is a good time with John and Chris Love at 317-353-2141. They can deal with any situation you have, even in outside temps, even in conditions like this. Because honestly, that's normally, right? As if you're coming from, like me, and being a schlep rock, normally things go wrong with your heating unit when the weather is just like this. It's either going to be really hot or going to be really cold, but Love Heating and Air is going to take care of it for you. 317-353-2141. They partnered up with the state-of-the-art air purification company. It is known as iWave. You mention my name, they'll give you $125 in a discount at your point of purchase for the iWave air purification system. $125 off. Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141 for any of your heating and air needs now or at any time. Or online, log on, love-hvac.com today.
Hammer here for Indy's hometown sportsbook, Bet Rivers, BetRivers.com. This is why I dig Bet Rivers. You get the best odds. You get daily profit boosts And when you win, you get your money quickly. Some places make you wait like 2 days to get your winnings. That's ridiculous. It's your money. You won it. You should get it right away. BetRivers.com, Indy's hometown sportsbook. Sign up today. Must be 21 and over, a resident of Indiana, and if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hey guys, looking for a reason to spend 3 days on the couch watching basketball? Schedule your vasectomy at Urology of Indiana for a Thursday or Friday, then sit back, relax, and catch some games over the weekend while you recover. It may be the only time your wife approves of hoarding the couch and the remote control. My vasectomy at Urology of Indiana was simple and took only about 15 minutes. Soon after, I was out the door and on my way home. During my recovery, I took ibuprofen and was back in my office in 3 days. The docs at Urology of Indiana are board certified and perform vasectomies every day of the week, all year long. They are pros at what they do, and they have multiple vasectomy clinics, so chances are good there's one close to you. If you've been putting off your vasectomy, now is the time. You'll never have a better excuse to watch basketball.
Call Urology of Indiana or visit vasectomyindy.com for information and to schedule an appointment. That's vasectomyindy.com.
You could be saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month with a simple refinance. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
The Butler Bulldogs have numerous Big East games in the coming weeks, and you can watch them play. Mask up and get to Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets or call 317-940-DOGS.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Go trackside with Kurt Cabin and Kevin Lee. Tonight at 7 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
And you can tell Rolling Stone magazine that my last words were, I'm on drugs.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Greg Rakestraw earlier, podcast 1075thefan.com. J. Michael, the Star 5 o'clock hour. Inside the Lounge on YouTube Live, JMV. This is from Todd Miller. Flock of Seagulls playing here in Toronto a couple of times. A year or so ago at a bowling alley. There was a time, and this is a true story, Todd. This is about 5 or 6 years ago. You know, when we used to have those Greene County backyard bourbon party, drunk parties that I had all the time at somebody else's place. My friend Elise's house, we would always have these parties, and there was a point where I looked up, you can find out, or at least you could prior to the pandemic, how much it would cost to bring in a band, and I looked up a Flock of Seagulls, and it was going to take $7,000 to get them to play in our backyard in GC. So I looked into it. Alas, I did not pull the trigger. So if you're thinking, yeah, bowling alley in Toronto, yeah. Backyard in Eastern Greene County, $7,000, yeah. It's nice. That is nice. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. He does join us. All right, before we dive into the Wentz stuff and all that is hot button going on in the offseason NFL right now, do you honestly think, do you believe that Sam Darnold, when it's all said and done, is going to be available via trade? Or is he available right now, or would you say no?
I think he's probably available. I think the Jets are doing their due diligence and looking at all the available options, and one of those is keeping Sam Darnold and using their top draft pick on a supporting piece, whether it's a Penei Sewell, an offensive tackle, whether it's a wide receiver like Jamar Chase, keeping their previous quarterback asset and trying to build something good around him as opposed to what's been around him for the past few years. But equally, if a team phoned up and gave them a good offer, I think they would be all too happy to pivot to drafting a quarterback at the top of the draft and, using the trade collateral that they get back to build around that guy.
Hey, Sam, who's more capable of playing at a higher level on a different team? And let's just say, for example, that team being the Colts. Is it Wentz because of his relationship in the past with Frank Reich, or is it Darnold, who's a little bit younger and has had to be a part of that Jets organization and the Adam Gase-led offense for the past couple of years?
I think you probably have to default to Carson Wentz because at least we've seen it from him in the NFL. We've never really seen that level of play from Sam Darnold at all yet. And there's just this theory that he can get there because every now and again he does make a special play and he does look to have all that talent. But so did Carson Wentz before this season, and the wheels kind of fell off for him. And even the degree to which they fell off, he was only really as bad as Sam Darnold has been pretty much every season. So I think you probably have to look at Wentz and think you can get him back to somewhere between that 2017 season and the 2021, which it would be dramatically better than anything we've seen from Darnold.
It's the Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, with us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You see all these mock drafts, and there are many quarterbacks, 4 or 5, going incredibly early. Is there too much hype about this particular class, or is from top to bottom, especially these first-rounders, so-called first-rounders that are mentioned, Sam, is it legit across the board with these guys?
I think the quarterback class is very strong, and it's legit, certainly in the first round. Once you get outside of the first round, I'm not sure how likely it is that any of those guys are going to pan out as, further second, third round developmental guys. But that first round, I think, has a chance to be genuinely special. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent at quarterback, as good as a prospect as, Andrew Luck, maybe even further back to Peyton Manning. He's pretty much a flawless prospect, but the guys right behind him, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, I think those guys have a real shot as well. And then, a guy like Trey Lance from North Dakota State, I think this year of all years might have a better shot of sort of being overdrafted compared with normal because of the track record of those kind of raw, toolsy guys panning out recently.
I think some of these teams that right now have been hard targeted for going after a quarterback early on in the first round, at least, maybe prior to number 10 overall. How willing do you think some of these teams may be, and which might be the most willing to make a deal with a team that would want to move up for a quarterback?
It's going to be interesting because it's a really interesting offseason for quarterback availability. Potentially, you've got guys like Dak Prescott on the open market. You've got Deshaun Watson, who wants out of Houston. You may even have Russell Wilson available, Carson Wentz. There's so many of these established veteran quarterbacks that are potentially available before we even get to the draft. And some of those dominoes are going to affect which teams are desperate for that to happen. Washington is a playoff caliber team without an answer at quarterback right now. You could make the case that Denver is as well, but their quarterback situation is even worse. There's a lot of teams out there, I think, that would be intrigued and potentially desperate to go chasing a quarterback, but whether they're going to focus on the draft or free agency or trade is, I think, still up in the air.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Which team out there right now makes the most sense, according to you, to reel in J.J. Watt?
I think there's a few teams that could go after Watt and be much better for it. He wants to go to Green Bay, I think, because of, Wisconsin ties, and that makes a lot of sense. The Packers would certainly get a lot out of him. I think Cleveland makes a ton of sense as well. And apparently he's not disinterested in Cleveland. He thinks that ticks a lot of his boxes as well. The Browns, particularly if they moved him back inside to being an interior pass rusher, I think would get a huge amount of benefit out of J.J. Watt.
What happens with Dak Prescott in Dallas?
I don't know yet. I think Dallas wants to draw a line in the sand and say, we don't want to go higher than this. This is the amount of money we think you're worth, and we don't think it's a good idea for either of us if we go beyond this sum of money. But in order for that to work, they have to be willing to walk away from the table. And if Dak Prescott's camp pushes that boundary and calls their bluff, I don't know if they're willing to do that. I don't know if they're prepared to walk away and let their quarterback leave the building. So my hunch is ultimately they're going to lose the stare down and they're going to have to pay Dak Prescott whatever he wants, essentially. Maybe they win with getting him for a longer contract, but I think they will blink and some kind of deal will get done.
Do you, and maybe at the beginning you thought there was no way that Dak Prescott was not going to be the quarterback of the Cowboys in 2021. And again, I'm not sure. I can't remember what you had said. But are you a little bit more thinking, well, maybe there is a chance that he ends up someplace else?
I mean, I think there's a chance. The Dallas Cowboys could have got this done a long time ago if they'd just been prepared to pay him whatever he wants to get paid or whatever the market rate is for a top-tier quarterback, Deshaun Watson money, Patrick Mahomes money. But they don't want to pay him that. They know he's not worth that sum of money. And they're right. He isn't. He's not at that tier yet. He's a step down from those guys. And that means that, if that's going to happen, they're going to have to wait this out. And eventually, if he doesn't cave, the only solution is to let him walk and find an alternative, cheaper option. I think that's the way they're headed, but I don't know if they have the guts to sort of play it out to its logical conclusion and be prepared to walk away from the table.
Which one of these three quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, which one of these you think is the most likely not to be quarterbacking their present team in 2021?
I think Deshaun Watson, because I think he's the only one that definitely wants out from the situation that he's in right now. This Russell Wilson is clearly unhappy, but I think they'll figure out a way of piecing that back together again and making everybody comfortable with where they're going. And I think Dak Prescott wants to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It's just a case of whether they can get a contract over the line. Whereas Deshaun Watson has the deal and wants out of Houston, whatever happens. And when your star quarterback wants out, it's probably going to happen.
Think there's any way in the world that they're able to piece that thing together and not make this worse? Because it seems like most of the time down there, regardless of the guidance, things are made worse. Is there any way that doesn't happen? Do they find some way amicably to get along either with Watson's return and wanting to play for them or, finding that deal because you have to and end up shipping him someplace else?
I mean, that's the thing, is that every step of the way they seem to have made it worse. And even with hiring the people that are in the building now, those guys keep saying that they want him in the building, but they don't appear to be doing anything to achieve that. They don't appear to be reaching out and trying to build that bridge and mend the relationship. And, I can't imagine that letting J.J. Watt leave the way they did or just immediately granting him his release did anything to help that. Sure, it's a potentially nice thing for J.J. Watt to let him find a new team, but it doesn't exactly scream, trying to move this thing in the right direction if you're Deshaun Watson. So I'm sure they would like him to be their quarterback of the future, but it doesn't seem to be an easy fix to rebuild the trust that's been dissolved over the years.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What type of deal will it take for a team out there to get the services of Orlando Brown, you think?
I think the Ravens will probably push for a first-round pick. I don't know if they'll get one, but you can make the case. He's played well for a couple of seasons now. He's played well moving to the left side of the line as well. So he's a potential good starter at left or right tackle for any prospective team. And obviously he's young. So, yeah, I think if there's a team out there desperate for a left tackle, they might be able to convince somebody to throw that pick at them.
Does he become, with that availability through a trade and obviously not through free agency, does he become, with that availability, the best available, I guess, at left tackle along that offensive line this offseason?
No, but he might be the best available with the sort of blend of youth as well. I mean, okay. Trent Williams is potentially available, and Trent Williams is an absolute superstar, but he's, well north of 30 years old, and you know that that's not a long-term solution at the position. But when you consider, talent, ability level, and the age, then Brown's maybe the sort of marquee name.
Sam Monson of Pro Football Focus on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So this Wentz deal gets done. Is the most logical place to you here in Indy? Is it Chicago? And will anybody have to get a deal done, surrender a first-round pick? And I'll even add to that, is there a chance if it ends up being here that Zach Ertz, the tight end, is a part of it? Where do you fall on any of those?
Yeah, I mean, those are the two teams that are being talked about, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the only two teams that are seriously being mentioned in the discussion are two teams that are very desperate for a quarterback for slightly different reasons. But I think you would need to be desperate to take on that contract shoot for the stars of being able to put back together the player that we saw in 2017. I just don't think it's a good bet. But if the dominoes fall and you're left without a quarterback, you're in real trouble. So I can definitely see why either of those two teams would be trying to make it happen. It sounds like Chicago are the team that are offering the most at the moment and might have to that might be the deal that Philadelphia has to take if they want to get rid of him. Ertz could definitely be part of a trade package. I think the Eagles would be all too happy to let him leave at the same time as well. I think that would move them in the right direction. I don't know how willing a prospective team would be to take on Ertz as well, unless they are, really trying to make those things balance in terms of trade collateral.
What do you think Ertz is production-wise at this point in his career?
He's dealt with a lot of injuries. I think he can still be a capable, productive tight end, but I think his days of an elite, receiving weapon are probably over. He's a guy now that can, occupy some space, that can find soft spots in zones, can win mismatched situations, but he's not, a real problem to cover the way he used to be.
Tag and trade. I saw this mentioned from somebody else a little bit earlier that covers football, I believe, regarding Allen Robinson, the Bears wide receiver. I don't ever remember much mention of that. Can you explain that, and is that at all a possibility in this case?
Yeah, I think it probably is. I mean, the idea being that you can franchise tag a guy and keep him around on a one-year guaranteed contract, but then he's out the door. Whereas, the alternative is you try and franchise tag him and get a long-term deal worked out. But if he doesn't want to do that, if he only wants to leave and you're not going to get a long-term contract worked out, you can franchise tag him to retain his rights and then trade him to somebody and so get the best of both worlds. He gets to leave a year early and you get to get something back in trade collateral for letting him leave a year early. And I think that's the way that it might go with Allen Robinson and the Bears. It looks like he wants out. He wants to find a situation that has a quarterback. He doesn't want to deal with another year of Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles or whoever they end up having there as a starter. So I don't think he wants to do a long-term deal. And for Chicago, I think they would be willing to trade him if that's the way it was going to go to somebody.
What is his tag number, by the way?
I'm actually not sure what the tag number is for a wide receiver.
Kyle, do you know what it is over there? I'm asking my producer this too. I was just trying to. It seems to be pretty heavy. What is it, Kyle?
This last year it was 18.5.
Yeah, that makes sense to you, Sam. That neighborhood.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's north of 15 million. It's headed up towards 20 these days.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. He is with us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. All right, everybody is euphoric and drunk after you win a Super Bowl. Shaq Barrett, yep, let's get it all, but we're going to bring it back. Chris Godwin, yeah, we're going to bring it back. Do you think both of those players are actually going to be back with the Buccaneers in 2021?
I think there's a chance they get them both back. I think they'll probably use the franchise tag on one of them and try and get a long-term deal done with the other. It's a lot of business to get done in a short space of time, but I think it's what their priorities will be to try and retain as much of that championship team as possible. And those are two pretty significant key pieces. The Shaq Barrett thing has been in the works for a while. They've known this is coming. So I suspect that's the one that gets a long-term deal over the line, and then they probably franchise tag Chris Godwin and then try and work on that over the next 12 months.
Sam, what do you think New Orleans ends up doing? Because you've obviously been a proponent of Jameis Winston and talked about Jameis Winston possibly coming here. Is he going to be their quarterback of the future? Might they go a different direction? What do you think they do with Sean Payton once they figure out whether or not, I guess, Drew Brees is officially done with his NFL career?
And that's really the key, is that I think the longer this offseason goes, the bigger the chance there is that Drew Brees decides he can have one more go-around at it. I think, when you talk to him at the end of every regular season, it sounds like he doesn't want any part of football. And that makes sense. He's getting on in years. He's been beat up. He was dealing with 11 rib fractures this season, and inevitably the Saints have just been dumped out of the playoffs. So he's not going to be excited about the following season. But I think once things go a little bit further from the season, he gets to heal up. He gets to realize how close he came. I think he's going to talk himself back into one last go-round. And I think the Saints will be willing to entertain that for as long as he's willing to do it. Eventually, somebody's going to have to make the decision that they move on from him. But this season, I think they'll give him the chance, the space to make that decision. And if he wants to come back, I think they'll go for it.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus with us. To you, what does the Xavier Rhodes free agent market look like?
The whole cornerback market is kind of crazy this year. There's a lot of talent available, but all of them have question marks, and they all have elite seasons somewhere, and it's just different places, different years, and it's really going to be who likes which player, who just decides that this is the best gamble we can take, because they're all varying degrees of rolling the dice on guys. So, I think a team could definitely fall in love with an Xavier Rhodes and make him a high-paid player, but you're going to get a lot of them as well that just don't want to gamble with that kind of risk with the guy that didn't play well up until last season and had been battling a lot of injuries and just don't want to risk that level of investment.
Hey, Sam, in closing here, without the normalcy of a combine, which has been housed here in Indy for so many years, will this ultimately have an effect? Does this make the game of the draft even more of a crapshoot, or are there still ways through Zoom and obviously individual workouts that you can find everything out that you would find out with the combine in general terms anyway?
Yeah, it makes it an interesting year. The combine was just this nice uniform playing field of measurements, and now we're going to go back to life before the combine, where you had to kind of piece it together from individual pro days and, hope that you were able to get like-for-like comparisons, that every 40 time was the same, that every measurable, whether it's jump size, all these things are fair and equal measurements. And I think you might see teams, lean away a little bit from the measurements or just sort of default to the safest, what they perceive as being the safest draft picks possible, because they're not able to, 100% rely on the measurements that they're being taken or that they're given.
K'Wan Short is released by Carolina. He obviously went to Purdue. We know him very well and had a really nice 8-year run there. He's a former Pro Bowl defensive tackle. What's his market look like at this point?
Tough to tell. He hasn't played enough the last couple of years, but when he has been playing, the last time he was on the field for an extended period of time, he was a dominant force. So I think his market probably ends up being a short-term, incentive-laden contract that lets him kind of show that he can still get it done and then maybe hit the open market in a year's time. I don't think you're going to see a complete lack of interest, but I don't think you're going to see a team willing to throw big money his way either.
Speaking of big money, I mean, a year ago, Teddy Bridgewater goes to Carolina. There are a lot more than just rumors floating around that they're in the market for a quarterback, and, Matt Rule wants to go a different direction with the quarterback there. What do you think the odds are that he is not with Carolina moving forward in 2021? Any at all?
I think he'll probably be there whether he's the starter or not. I think they'll probably they are trying to upgrade. They'll try and find a better starting option than Teddy Bridgewater, but I don't think that necessarily boots Teddy out of the door. I think that he would stay as the backup, and he would be immediately one of the best backups in the NFL.
Kenny Golladay, in closing here, what's his market range for a guy that has all this so-called potential and talent but is way too often injured?
Yeah, and another player that I think probably gets the franchise tag. I don't think Detroit is going to let him walk out of the door, if for no other reason than basically their entire receiving core is scheduled to hit free agency, and I don't think they can afford to lose them all. And Kenny Golladay is the star. He's the jewel of the crown there. I think they'll try and unlock him up as a long-term deal, and if they can't get that done, I think they'll definitely franchise tag him and keep him in the building. But if he did hit the market, he'd be one of the top 2 or 3 receivers available and would have a lot of suitors.
All right, I'm going to ask you to throw 2 darts at a dartboard, and I don't know why. I know why I chose one here, but I don't know why the other. Right now, tell me who you think will be the quarterback, the starting quarterback in 2021 here in Indy and in Foxborough with the Patriots.
I really don't know what the Patriots will do. I think they could go in a number of different directions, and we're going to get to see inside of Bill Belichick's mind in terms of how he views that position for the first time really in 20 years. I think we thought we would see that last year, and it didn't really happen. But this season, something more significant has got to happen. For Indy, that's another tough one as well. I think they could be the team that finds it tricky to nail down the starting option at quarterback. You know, where the dominoes are going to fall. Obviously, Houston isn't going to want to trade them to Deshaun Watson within the division. If they don't get Carson Wentz in a trade, and they're certainly, I think, in the market for that, they're probably not going to get a Dak Prescott if he doesn't hit the open market. I guess Carson Wentz is probably the most likely option, but if they don't get him, they might end up finding themselves in a really tough spot pretty quickly.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, is always really good every Tuesday in the 4 o'clock hour, and with us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Sam, I appreciate you. Have a great week. We'll do it again next week.
Okay, take it easy.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. Yeah, a lot of good stuff right there. I enjoyed that. We shall see what takes place. I think Rodney sent me this too. There are so many different, Wentz is for sure going to be here. Wentz is out. This is from, I don't even know what the hell this is. Bleacher Nation? What is Bleacher Nation? It is something that covers the Bears. Who was this person here? Somebody named Eitan. Let's see if I can get this accurate here. Somebody named Eitan. Today is the 16th. As of, I don't know, before 1 o'clock, said that the Eagles are just negotiating with the Colts. It's the difference on the back end. The Eagles trying to get the second number 2 instead of a third and a fourth conditional. Chicago is out. Been wrong before, but feels like we are winding down talks. This is from Eitan. What are the odds? Hosted by Eitan Shander. So, yeah, what are the odds that's accurate? Speaking of what are the odds that that's accurate?
Well, I hope it's accurate because that would be good news for the Colts with leverage. If
now,
the
if
Bears
you're
are out.
If you're in one of two camps here, if you're pro Wentz and you want him to come here, or if you're pro a quarterback of any name, recognizable, any former success, positivity, if you're in either one of those camps, yeah, you're probably rooting for that. Thank you, Rodney, for that. Chris writes this, the two main, I can't say that, storylines on the Jets of the draft, a new quarterback or Sam Darnold. If it's the former, then it's about trading Darnold, but what if Darnold isn't dealt? Meaning can't get the right price. Do the Jets cut Darnold or let him walk? Yeah, I think that there are too many teams out there with a quarterback that you're just going to cut him. Going to do something with him. Thank you, Chris, for that. All right, quick break. We shall return. You guys, 239-1070, you want to do a little something here inside the lounge on YouTube Live. Brian Haas, as in Moose Haas. Haas or Haas? Is it H-A-A-Z pronunciation or H-A-A-S? Moose Haas. Former right-hander of the Milwaukee Brewers back in the day, who always would grab his junk after he delivered a pitch. Moose Haas. I would too. Dwayne Faulkner, the Bears probably going to move up and get Mac Jones. Haas it is. That's Andrew Haas, everybody. Very reliable source. He says it's a very reliable source. And believe me, you talk about reliable sources, jump inside the lounge on YouTube Live. Those are reliable sources. Quick one will return. Your calls, J. Michael, top of the hour. Pacers lose an OT to the Bulls last night. And overtime was UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. It was ugly, for real, in a game that you had no business losing. We'll jump back into that and a lot more for you. J. Michael, top of the hour. This is 93.5, 107.5, and 1070. The Fan.
Hey, it's Big Joe, and we know that anything can happen in a game, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't bet with confidence. BetMGM invites new customers to experience their favorite sports like never before with a risk-free first bet of up to $600. Just sign up using the bonus code BIGJOE600, place your first wager, and get your stake back up to $600 in free bets if you lose. The fearlessness doesn't stop there either. Enjoy BetMGM's innovative parlay selection features, live betting options, daily boosted odds specials, and much more. All you have to do is download the BetMGM app or go to BetMGM.com and enter that bonus code BIGJOE600 to get up to $600 in free bets on your first wager. Bet confidently on basketball, hockey, and all the sports action at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years of age or older to wager. If you know somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
888-724-5129 is you. And I'm looking at you right now. If you want a little bit greater form of dome coverage here, if you were in the mirror and you noticed that there was a lot of hair in that comb or that brush you were using, or you noticed that just in general terms your reflection tells you that you're losing your hair, you have a receding hairline, let Darren Andrews fix that for you. Let him give you that real growing hair again with PAI. 888-724-5129. From PRP to multi-unit hair grafting, artist robotic FUE, laser hair therapy, it works. If you want the option of your real growing hair again, get that private consultation today. 888-724-5129. or WeGrowHairIndy.com today.
Small business owners, is your internet making office tasks painfully slow? Are your file upload speeds sluggish? Are your video calls choppy? You need more speed. AT&T Business Fiber gives you up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. Faster upload speeds mean smoother, less glitchy video conferencing and faster file transfers. Visit att.com/businessfast or call 844-661-FAST to get our best price on our best service. Imagine it, up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. AT&T experts can help you upgrade to AT&T Business Fiber. Soon, you're going to love your internet. Call 844-661-FAST now. Comparison by Telogical Systems, 12-2020.
Place your legal sports bets at BetRivers.com, your new home for sports betting. Millions of betting options a year on the sports you love. We offer live in-game betting on major sporting events worldwide. Tons of bets available during games, from money lines, prop bets, and many more. Use one of our 12 easy deposit methods to get in on the action. And when you win, we offer fast and reliable withdrawals. Sign up now, and we'll match your first deposit up to $250. More bets, better odds, more action. Place your sports bets at BetRivers.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
Join the Crew Car Wash Unlimited Club and wash whenever you want. Sign up at any of their locations to get unlimited washes and unlimited savings.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like B&W Plumbing and Heating? Well, find that American Standard dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Tony Dungy. Everybody was all in on Matthew Stafford. Where does that leave the Colts now?
I personally like Jacoby Brissett. I wouldn't be in a desperate situation right now and say, oh, guys, if we don't get a quarterback, our season's over. Do you look at the other veteran guys, or do you just say, we'll roll with Jacoby and draft a young quarterback and be ready to move on?
The Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Can I buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus, podcast 107.5, thefan.com. Greg Rakestraw a little bit earlier as well. Jay Michael of the Star. We'll talk Pacers with Jay Michael top of the hour here. Kyle across from me, his hard target guess is the Colts end up with Wentz and Ertz in a deal for what did you say?
A second and a third round pick. That's my guess.
Wentz and Ertz, according to Kyle. I'm going to mark it down right here. Wentz and Ertz together. Like traffic and weather together yesterday. John Buzzard chimes in at JMV 1070 via Twitter. With this quarterback search, the Colts are like a guy on the rebound after a third divorce. First wife was great, but didn't go the distance. Second suddenly quit on him. And the third just filled a short-term void. Now it seems like we're in the market just trying to find ourselves again. John Buzzard. The rebound. The rebound, according to John. That's awesome. That is pretty funny right there. JMV, did you see this? America's premier skiing destination, downtown Indy. Yeah, somebody was getting pulled, I think, downtown last night. Yeah, this is... trying to see, where is that? Is that up... Delaware, maybe? Where is that? You got two people last night being towed. They were on skis being towed by a car. I went the other direction. It took me a little bit to get home, but it was all right. All good. YouTube Live inside the lounge. You guys, some in the lounge want the Colts to offer up an existing and already in the lineup player. I just don't think that part is going to happen. Where was this? Yeah, Andrew asked this. JMV, what do you think about the refs not letting Sabonis play fundamental basketball in the post, either an offensive foul or the flagrant was stupid. I mean, it was stupid. You just kind of know when they go over there it's going to be FUBAR. But, yeah, that was dumb. And not on his part, but it was just flagrant. I mean, you make a basketball move. I guess you're not allowed to bang down low. There was one offensive foul, and that's just something that Sabonis is going to have to work around because, yeah, Thaddeus Young flopped. He flopped on the spin, but I mean, you're noticing more and more now with Sabonis. They go after that spin and try to dig on him and get the ball every time, and in that case, that just flopped. These guys are going to have to figure something out. It would have worked last night had they hit some layups. That would have been really nice. Good idea. JMV, you said on Monday that the offensive rebounds have been a killer for the Pacers this year. I'm pretty sure there were 2 offensive boards for the Bulls in OT last night that resulted in threes. You are absolutely right. That is the fork. That sticks a fork in you right there. The offensive glass, the kick out, where a guy can step into it with little to no pressure. Because you stepping into a three, really no matter who you are anymore in the NBA, if you're stepping into a wide open three look, that is a layup, and that kills you. There's no doubt about that. JMV, I just checked out the Commodores video of Lady. You bring me up when I'm down. Awesome call. I saw them at 78 soon after the release of Brick House. Outstanding night. That is a great video. That's what somebody asked me inside the lounge on YouTube Live, and I answered that question. I probably should have said this, though. If you remember back in 1988, those of you around Gas City, so Troy and Gas City, I'm sure, is aware of this, or Fairmount. If you remember Morrissey, the lead singer of the group The Smiths, was out on his own and filmed a video called, what was this? I can't remember the song. Why can't I remember it? Filmed a video in Fairmount in Gas City. And I think it was like below zero when they were filming it. So you got this late 80s, 120 minutes kind of alternative new wave English looking dude walking around in Fairmount and Gas City and driving a tractor, and it was in honor of James Dean. It's a great video, so I may go with that video. Was it Suede Head? Something like that, I think. Maybe I'll go with that. But that was Filmed in Fairmount and in Gas City. Actually, I think it shows the water tower in Gas City a couple of different times. So that's a good one, too. All right, 239-1070. Give me Bill on line 1. Hello, Bill. How are you?
JMV, how are you doing today?
Great. Thank you, Bill. What's happening?
Well, I was really disappointed in the Pacers last night, and this doesn't get any easier. Even though apparently the game on Monday against the Spurs has been canceled.
Yes, but it has been postponed because of their COVID situation. They being the Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of the end. I mean, once you go down that path, I think, unless there's something really dramatically happens and everything with this virus, the NBA could be over. At least, and that's going to be a local decision.
Oh no, they battled through that. That's the Spurs, because the Spurs have 4 players, so they're just the NBA is shutting the Spurs down for the next 3 games to contain that and to get past that. So they're going to charge through this, Billy. They are. I mean, you think of Boston and how long they've been without Jason Tatum. And they're just now getting him back, starting to get him back here soon, coming off of COVID and those effects. They're going to pound right through this as best they can.
You made me feel better, brother.
Yeah, I was
thinking it was Armageddon. It was going to be about my personal sports Armageddon.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean,
you brought it back to life.
These everybody really professionally on down, they have just, and it's worked for them. They have just pounded right through this. And that's what they're going to do here in the NBA with the Spurs situation. Try to contain it within the Spurs and move forward from it here.
And I want to talk a little bit about the Colts. Yep. I just want to revisit and start the give Eason a chance campaign. I think this kid could be worth the look and not having to. And I just don't want to see us give up any draft picks. I don't want to see the Colts have to do that. I don't think Ballard. That's not his tendency. That's not how he rolls anyway. So I think they should just give him a chance. I really do. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they need a quarterback, and I've talked myself into being accepting of Wentz and accepting of Darnold. You got to have somebody, and that somebody's not Eason right now, Billy. It's not Jacoby Brissett, who's been here in the past. Those aren't somebodies that you need right now. You need, and again, I know. I mean, you're rolling the dice with Wentz because to me he's looked broken, and I completely agree with that. But there's no way you can move forward without somebody like that. And to me, and I've said this all along, if you don't find a quarterback that's adequate enough for you to play at a level close to the level you did this last year, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're also not going out and finding your future either, unless your future is Eason, but you're just not going to fire that up right now because you also want to win some games and you don't know any more about Eason than basically what we do, Billy. That's about it.
Well,
yep.
It's gonna be an interesting season, man. Hey,
yep.
We got time for that right now. I got my shovel in my hand. I got my gloves on.
Thanks, Billy. I appreciate you. Get out there. I had to fire up the snowblower, baby. The Toro, courtesy of the mower shop in Fishers and my man Paul, and it worked outstandingly. And shout out to Ron DeVault. He brought the ride over with the blade and got the tail end of the driveway. I appreciate that. And my man Gary Emmons, who actually called and said, "Hey, do you guys need any help over there?" But I got out there this morning and dug us out. Telling you, we had a foot. Now, a lot of that is blowing and drifting. We kind of live on an incline, and the wind was swirling. But we had a foot. So Covey was right about us. I think we did have a foot. Cove, by the way, writes this: Ertz averaged 86 catches per season from 15 to 19. No reason to think he couldn't regain that form for a few more seasons. He's only 30. I would buy into that definitely. Pacer Steve is up next at 239-1070. Hello, Pacer Steve.
How you doing?
Great.
I've been a Pacer fan now for probably 30 years, season ticket holder, although this year I'm a little bit afraid of that virus. I'm kind of waiting until I get my vaccination.
Understand. Yep.
I love these guys. I love this team, but I'm getting really frustrated. I think the best place to be if you're facing the Pacers is Sabonis within 2 feet of the bucket. Just let him get within 2 feet of the bucket because he's going to miss. What is going on that he can't he can. There's a dozen other players in the league equal skill level of him that are shooting 60% and 70% from that spot on the floor, and he can't manage 50. It's getting really tiresome. And one other thing, my opinion right now, Pacer MVP is T.J. McConnell, because I tell you what, if everybody played with the heart and the enthusiasm and the energy that man plays with when he hits the floor, if every single guy that was whistled to hit the floor played with like T.J. McConnell, we would have 22, 23 wins. He is a maniac. I liked him when he was with Philly, and I thought, boy, it'd be great to have him. And then when we got him, I was like, oh, my God, I cannot believe it. But he is all that.
Yeah, thank you, Pacer Steve, for the call. He has been good. Sabonis, to me, and this is not excusing it. I'm not excusing, missing layups. I mean, he looks gassed at times too. I mean, these guys look gassed. I thought they looked gassed last night. So let's face it. I mean, you're really not going to know too much more about it until they get the full strength. And again, there's no pass being given here. That's just the basics of it. You're not going to know any more until you see LeVert and Warren as a part of it too. But they look gassed. Yeah, thank you, Litzy, for sending me this. Suedehead filming, Fairmount, Indiana, 1988. Yeah, that was that video with Morrissey. It's still hard to believe. If you watch that video, first of all, you can tell it's like 5 degrees below zero. It says here it's February 7th, 87, but I believe it was February the 7th, 1988. I think I was a senior in high school when that happened. But back in the day, that was only something you would see on 120 Minutes on MTV. But it was filled right up the way. Fairmount, Gas City. It's pretty funny. My man's riding around. Think about, if you guys know who Morrissey is, he can be a bit whiny and kind of a pain in the ass, but he's incredibly talented, and I would go see him in a second because I've never seen him. But when it's 5 degrees below zero and they're filming him like on a tractor, it's pretty good. Pretty funny. Thank you, Litzy, for that. All right, Jay Davis, other side, we'll talk with you. Jay Michael, top of the hour, 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Kids, tell your parents about Form's Sprout of the Month contest where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
When you place a wager with William Hill Sportsbook, every sports moment is even more interesting. And we have a special 2021 offer to help you bet on all your favorite sports risk-free. Download the William Hill Sportsbook app, and when you sign up, you can get started with a risk-free bet of up to $2,021. Use promo code RADIORF. Must be physically present in Indiana. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Let's make it interesting with William Hill Sportsbook.
Hey, John here, and a shout out to my man Mark Dietel. That's markdietel.com, Mark Dietel Realty. That's Mark, DIETEL.com at 317-755-4232. The market is red hot right now, no matter what you're thinking about doing. All right, if you're thinking about maybe upgrading your home because you're adding to your family, Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232. He's your guy. Now, if you're downsizing, that also works because we're moving through February and getting now into the springtime coming up. And if you're going to have kids graduate and move off and you want to downsize, again, it's Mark Dietel Realty at 317-755-4232. He will get the job done right for you. No matter what you're thinking about doing right now too, markdietel.com and Mark Dietel Realty. That's who you want to talk to about it. He will get the job done for you. 317-755-4232. And tell Mark that I sent you, and have Mark and his staff go to work for you. That's markdietel.com, Mark, DIETEL.com today.
Price is king when you buy a new car, right? What if you can get the best deal at the best dealership? Well, that's what we're all striving for, and what Penske Chevrolet at 96 and Keystone is all about. You already know the Penske Promise, which states you're going to get the lowest price on any in-stock Chevrolet product, and that's a guarantee from General Manager Jay Smith and Area VP Brett Rosie. And you also know Chevy Complete Care, your comprehensive owner benefit program, ensures the Penske commitment to owner satisfaction. So now all you need is the financing. And the month of February, all customers are going to get 0% financing on the 2021 Silverado 1500 Crew Cab, the 2021 Equinox, and the 21 Trax. Customers will also receive Penske employee pricing on all new Equinox and Trax models, and Penske Chevy has lease specials on the Trax, just $179 a month, and the Equinox, $249 a month, and that's at 39 months and 10,000 miles a year. And don't forget, take up to $15,500 off all new 2020 Chevy Bolt Premiers when you purchase with cash. 96 and Keystone is where all the action is at Penske Chevrolet. Online at PenskeChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
If you're an independent floor installer, aren't you tired of always chasing your next job and working without insurance or a retirement plan? Isn't it time for a change? Marburger Flooring has immediate openings for experienced commercial floor coverers in the Indy area. Apply today at carpenters.com. Stop worrying about job security. Start earning high wages, insurance, and a pension while working in schools, hotels, and more with Marburger. So if you're an experienced commercial floor installer ready to change your life, apply today at carpenters.com. That's carpenters.com.
Hey, Connecticut Water, place to go right now, too, to get that best water if you are struggling with the water in your house. Because, again, notoriously, the state of Indiana has hard water, problem water for you. Connecticut is the place you need to go. Connecticut will give you the best water possible in smell and taste, in bathing, in washing. It is a noticeable difference maker. And you have great deals with Joe, John, and Dennis right now. The Premier Series water softener, the K5 in-home drinking water station, all the accessory, salt, and so much more with great deals to start out this new year. You got to check them out. Northeast side Castleton, south side US 31 and Southport Road. The Connecticut Water app. Download that to your smartphone or device today for deals on accessories, salt, and more. Or online, ConnecticutIndy.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. It's only February and homes are selling at a record pace. Inventory is super low and demand is at an all-time high. If you're even considering buying a home this year, you need to be working with the experts. Don't miss your shot. Get pre-approved today for your new home with our 5-minute loan approval, only available at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Wednesday on the Fan Morning Show, Stephen Holder will join us. Pat Boylan to preview Pacers Timberwolves. We'll recap Purdue at Mackey on Tuesday night. Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, 7 to 10 a.m. right here on the Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Let me have a Diablo sandwich, a Dr. Pepper, make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Greg Rakestraw, Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. 1075thefan.com. We talked to Sam at length regarding what's going on with Wentz and Darnold and Dak Prescott, J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson. Really good stuff. Sam from PFF, and you can find it at 1075thefan.com. Greg Rakestraw talked about the girls, semi-state play. I'm telling you what, that Franklin team with Coach Sable, a bunch of young girls on it, a bunch of freshmen. They shoot a crap ton of threes and hit them. There's one thing to shoot them. Oh, yeah, everybody can shoot them, but they knock them down. Fun to watch. We have Brownsburg coming up this weekend. Do they not? I think Franklin plays Brownsburg, yet they got to drive all the way to Jeffersonville to play. I believe that's the case. JMV at 1070thefan.com is the email address. This is from Jim. At JMV, I used to call on Mark Deedle all the time, Mr. D's. Yeah, Mark Deedle, and I was just talking about Mark Deedle Realty. I know him. He is down from me, but I also know his background. His family owned Mr. D's. Remember the grocery stores here locally, Mr. D's? I loved Mr. D's. Loved it. There was one location that was a former Eisner that turned into a Jewel, and then it was Mr. D's, right across from the College Mall in Bloomington. We lived at Night Ridge Manor, and I spent a crap ton of time in the deli area. I loved it. Loved Mr. D's back in the day. There was one up here in Whiteland, I think, at Whiteland Road and 31 back in the day. They were all over the place. Love Mr. D's. But, yeah, Mark is a really good dude. And if you need anybody in the realty game, that is your man right there. And he's decided to do some stuff with us. And that's awesome. But, yeah, Mr. D's, I loved it. I was a pasta, salad, turkey, Colby, cheese, sandwich. I mean, I dug that as much as I dug Dagwoods back in the day. True story. You know how much I love Dagwoods. Hey, JMV, I'm surprised for the best 80s video you wouldn't choose Whitesnake with Tawny Katane. My friends and I in the 80s thought Smoking the Boys Room. We're not going to take a Twisted Sister. A lot of fun. Mike in Portland. Yeah, I mean, that would probably be the obvious thing. But, yeah, the Morrissey one because it took place around here. I think the Colts shot one over in Putnam County back in the day, too. Did they shoot Rain? Their video to Rain? I think they were playing here in town and shot the video over in Putnam County, I believe. If you remember the group, the Colts. I think that was the right one. And obviously, Mellencamp has a crap ton shot in a small town, shot around Bloomington. Most of his were shot around here. There's one from 88 where Mellencamp's in concert at Market Square Arena. A video for Check It Out, the live version that's really good. I think December of 1988 that was filmed. A lot of them from around here. Jay talks Pacers next at 239-1070. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, JMV, man, I call you and I tell you time and time again, just pay attention to this season. And I'm going to tell you why. It's coaching. And Nate is just not, man, he's not a real good coach. Again, I'm also tell you to pay attention to Malcolm Brogdon.
All right.
Malcolm Brogdon, man, do not seem like a team guy. He seems like he's trying to take on a whole team by himself. He put up ill-advised shots. I mean, he's just coming down, jacking up shots, man, where he ain't even looking for who's open. He's just going straight up, man, trying to shoot that floater or pull up and shoot that little 15-foot jumper or whatever, and sometimes taking three-pointers, that's way off. I mean, I just think, man, I think the Pacers need some changes, man. I think there needs to be some major changes. I'd like for them to try to go after the Ball brother that's down in New Orleans. I really would, because he's a playmaker. The Pacers need a good leader, a good playmaker, man. And I just don't think that's Malcolm Brogdon.
You don't think that you're not going to wait and see what you have in LeVert and Warren before you want to make a deal? You probably lost everybody at Lonzo Ball right there, Jay, honestly, with that. But you don't want to wait and see what they may end up with once these two guys get into the lineup and are able to play.
Well, the story that I'm still on is the Oladipo and Brogdon thing, that they couldn't get along. So my thing is this, okay?
Yeah.
You get LeVert back, and LeVert's supposed to go in the backcourt with Brogdon. If there's still some stuff happening for us, if something developed for us, a lot of, confusion and not getting along, then we can't put that on, LeVert. Because now we're starting to see a paper trail with Brogdon for him not.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying though, but you gotta wait and see it though. You don't really know until you see it.
You got to wait. You got to wait and see. But if this is something that's still stemming over from Oladipo, that him not being able to get along with another court player, then there's some things that you need to start paying attention to with this guy's attitude, man. And maybe he's just a ball hog, and that's the same thing that they put out on James Harden. But now he's realizing that he can't hold the ball that long because he's got the other two guys over there, KD and Kyrie. So, I just think Brogdon, man, he's nobody that's gonna be.
You are not on board with Brogdon. As I can tell you. You're not on board with it. I got to run. Jay, you call anytime. I do have to run to hit the top of the hour. I appreciate it.
All
right. You probably lost everybody at Lonzo Ball. There are some out there that have had an issue with Brogdon. You got to see when this team is at full strength right now, and then we can make some snap judgments out of it. Hey, don't get me wrong, last night was disappointing as hell. But you do have to wait and see that. Thank you, Jay. Skivvy says, didn't Motley Crue film a video at MSA some years ago? Wildside, they did. I think in that video there's some exposed thingies that were covered up because it was, MTV a video. But yeah, I think yes. Exposed thingies. Quick one. J. Michael, star. We'll talk about what he thinks this is going to look like once the Pacers do hopefully get to full strength, and last night as well. If you're on hold, Davis, I'll get back to you coming up as well. 5 o'clock hour. J. Michael and you at 239-1070. By the way, Greg is right. Greg had just texted me and said, listen, Sabonis lets the officiating get in his head, and he does. I mean, he does. He's got to shake that loose. We talked about that a couple of months ago, too. He got to shake that loose. As much as I wanted him to defend himself a couple of years ago, I mean, he does carry that along like baggage right now. That's problematic. Quick break. Back with you next.
Chris Ballard.
Who does Twitter have us taking today? Let's go.
All right, here it is. Today, it's Carson Wentz.
Hey, I got breaking news here for Dan and his show.
All right.
We are exploring lots of options.
I knew that was coming.
If you're talking about it,
we can't talk about it, but we're exploring all possibilities. I'll tell you this, though.
Go ahead.
There's no trade going down.
we're talking about it.
Can you legitimately talk about him, though?
No.
Your home for Indy Sports, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, John for Andy Moore, Buick GMC up in Fishers, 131st and State Road 37. Anybody kind of realize now we're going through this weather and you're thinking, I've got to have another ride? Now is a great time to get yourself a new ride. And let Eric Wilson, the general manager up there, let him work a deal with he and his staff for you. And here are a couple that I think you're going to like. For example, if you're into a crew cab style truck, 0% for 72 months on all half-ton crew cab trucks. So, yeah, this weather, you're going to cut right through that. Feel really good about it right now. So ask Eric Wilson about that. Or for something for the entire family, the Acadia SLE, like I have, I promise you will love this. 0 down payment, $249 per month. It is a great ride. And you can also get up to $10,000 off the brand new Buick Envision. Those are just 3 of the many deals that Eric Wilson and his incredible staff are going to offer up for you to get you in a new ride for 2021. At Andy Moore Buick GMC, you tell them I sent you 131st and State Road 37 in Fishers.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Maxine. But since she is so focused on growing her career, we hired an actor to read her story.
At Geico, I love mentoring the new associates to help them make this a career and not just a job.
And with new opportunities and job stability, Geico has been helping people grow their careers for over 75 years. The only downside, she still hasn't met the gecko. Where are you, fella?
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.job/Indy.
CarX Tire and Auto, and a tire sale going on right now. Have you noticed with some of these slick conditions that the tread is worn on your tires? Hey, save up to $140 on a set of 4 tires, and we're talking major brands here with General, Continental, and Cooper tires. And CarX Tire will meet or beat any competition's tire offer going on right now. So you can show them that. They've been surveying Indy, this market, for 40-plus years. Like in Plainfield and Anthony and Carmel, you're going to find a CarX location nearest you. CarX.com for the 13 area Joe Childers run locations. And the great CarX Tire and Auto tire sale going on right now. Greenwood, yes, 135 in Greenwood. The Micah and Kevin and the gang. And US 31 on the south side at Stop 11. Just a couple of places where you can go and get those tires if you're slip sliding around right now and take advantage. Save $140 on a set of 4 tires with CarX. Tell them I sent you today. Make it CarX.
It's Terry Stacy for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. Owner Chris Ambrose says second opinions are important.
We want to make sure that you are confident in the service that you're getting from whoever. The diagnostic that we give you may be different from the one that you got before. what we hope is it'll give you peace of mind that you're getting the right solution for your problem.
Get your free second opinion from B&W by going to BigBlackTrucks.com. Your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WFNI, WIBC, HD2, W298BB, WIBC, HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Hey, you gonna stare all day or you gonna buy something? I'm gonna stare all day.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
I'm only getting started. I won't black out. Inside I've got nothing. Let's go a little harder.
Hey, welcome back. Greg Rakestraw, Sam Monson, podcast 1075thefan.com. JMV, Lonzo Ball. Don't let that guy call anymore. Actually, Jay's a good dude, man. No one in America thinks Brogdon is selfish other than Jay. There are a couple of non-Brogdon people, and I think for the most part, there are a couple. But I think those couple believe that he's playing out of position. But, yeah, he kind of lost folks, I think, on the Brogdon call right there. Well, we'll get into this and more on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Jay Michael's going to join us from the Star in just a second. Let me see if he's ready. Is that Jay? From the Star, covers the Pacers, Jay Michael joins us right now. I've said this, and after losses like last night, nobody wants to hear it because everybody wants to come down hard, and this team stinks, and they lost in overtime to Chicago. But how do you think your vision is once you get LeVert and Warren back on this team and they're at full strength? How will it look compared to what we have seen so far this season?
Oh, man, I think offensively they're going to look a lot better, a lot smoother. When you see some of these possessions break down and, you know, when they get late in the clock, they're getting late in the clock more often now than what they were earlier in the season. So I think you'll see less of that. You'll see additional guys who can get their own shot and finish, which is always going to be a big help. And there's going to be more versatile lineup. So I think offensively is where you'll see probably the biggest uptick. Defensively, I still think there are going to be question marks because I have questions or concerns about the scheme and schemes they use with certain people. And also, you know, the thing that got them last night, of course, in that overtime period was defensive rebounding. And it just seems to be a collective malaise when it comes to that ball coming off the rim. And I don't think that has anything to do with guys coming back or talent or skill. I just think that has to do with an effort thing that hasn't been consistent on that end.
I'm telling you, their reaction to rebounds really on both ends are as slow as anybody I've watched in the NBA. There's a lot of ass standing going on by all of them.
There is. And, you know, the thing is, not only – I just actually finished doing a video that I'm going to be posting later today, kind of a comprehensive breakdown of the rebounding situation to show the contrast between Chicago, which was plus 13 last night, versus Indy. And you'll see possessions where the Bulls either made shots or maybe the rebound didn't come down in the right place and they didn't get it, but they did all the right things. Like they always was shooting somebody from the baseline or from that 45-degree angle to slot to get into the paint, and they would be nobody's put a body on them, and there's like four Pacers around the bucket. And maybe it's a long rebound and the guy doesn't get the rebound. But if the rebound is anywhere short, one guy is probably going to beat four guys to it. And it consistently happens. And I think because sometimes the Pacers still end up getting the rebound, they think, well, we can just continue doing this. And in key moments, that one guy from the Bulls gets it. And it leads to a bucket. 5 of their first 7 points in overtime, which to me decided the game, were on second chances created by rebounds by a former Pacer, Thaddeus Young, which is kind of wild because Thaddeus, when he was in Indy, wasn't, nobody ever regarded him as the strongest rebounder. He could rebound here and there, but rebounding wasn't, he wasn't some bruiser down there just clearing guys out. But that Thad Young got Denzel Valentine a 3-point shot, and he got to put back himself. And the Pacers had numbers every time to get the board, and I can't explain it. And it's not just on the bigs, but one guy who gets a pass because he has better rebounding numbers than anybody else is Sabonis. And I'm going to be able to show in a lot of spots where instead of putting a body on a man so somebody could get the rebound on his team, he went for the rebound and didn't get it. And so that's a peeve of mine, and they just haven't really under another coach, got some different players running some different schemes, but you still have that same one big glaring problem.
J. Michael, the star, covers the Pacers. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So is there a personnel remedy here? I mean, from what you're saying, is it better effort, being a smarter rebounder? Is there something where they can upgrade with what they have right now? Or as they say, J. Michael, is their rebounding on both ends, it is what it is?
I don't think there's an upgrade. The reason why is because, what's the most valuable things you can acquire? Like, say if you trade a player of value, we always talk about Miles Turner, Goga, Sabonis, guys like that. You're not going to trade any of those guys, at least if you want to keep your job, for a rebounder. Okay, I mean, you're not trading anybody who can get you 20 a game on any given night, which, all of those guys could. That rebound is about effort, and that's something, and I think if you look at Aaron Holiday, who's 6'1", I actually made a comment on social media about him today. To be one of the smallest guys on the court, he puts a body on everyone all the time, no matter how big. And he helped teammates get rebounds, even though Aaron Holiday only had one rebound last night. He actually puts a body on people all the time. Miles Turner has done a much better job, actually, of doing it, especially in that game, the previous game that they played he did against Atlanta. He did that. He's been getting a little bit more. I still like to see him be more physical and hit guys a little bit harder than he does, but he's even gotten better at that. But 2 guys out of 5 is not going to be enough. And that's a mindset. That's a want to. Justin Holiday, as great as he can be on defensively, you'll catch him flat-footed a lot of times and not anticipating rebounds. But one of the putback that Thaddeus Young had last night in overtime, he was flat-footed, Justin Holiday, and was not in position to help Miles Turner get that rebound. So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about scheme-wise when it comes to this team. Not their scheme, but I just think it's just effort, and I don't know if they get on each other enough. They talk to us in the media about it because we ask them questions about it a lot. But, man, I would really like to see them more angry at each other for when they have lapses like that.
Well, and everybody just, how it comes at me. It's everybody says, it's Miles' problem. And while, listen, I want to see guys rebound better. There's no doubt. But the 2 bigs do have to have some help sometimes. And, sometimes it also is about them. There's no question.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that, Chicago did that plus 13 rebounding. They went with a small lineup with Thad Young as the 5 for most of the fourth quarter and overtime. So there's really no – and that goes to show you, rebounding isn't about, having the biggest guy there in the middle. Chicago, if you look at them, they shell around the paint with 3 guys to make sure they box out. And one of those 3 guys, 2 of the guys box out, depending on how the play is evolving. And one of the guys rebounded. And what the Pacers do, they'll all stand flat-footed, and they're not touching or looking for anybody to hit. And that one little guy come in there, run in there and snag it from them and get an extra possession. So, it's not. I mean, the rebounding is the one stat that, it's great for fantasy basketball. So-and-so got you this many rebounds, therefore this guy is doing the job rebounding. But if his team isn't rebounding better with him on the floor, all he's doing is getting numbers for himself, but it's not really collectively helping the team. And I think all of them have to kind of look at that. So, you want your bigs to rebound more. I want Turner to be more aggressive in there and hit guys even harder. I want Sabonis, though, to hit some guys and not worry about getting the rebound himself. And I want to see Brogdon in particular, who's a big guard, and Justin Holiday not get caught flat-footed waiting for the ball to come off the rim rather than anticipating where it's going to come, because you can see that throughout last night's game.
This is not an excuse whatsoever, but do they look gassed to you at certain moments in games, especially when I know when things aren't going well at a moment, it kind of, and I know that sounds like an excuse for them just not playing well, but they have logged a lot of minutes, and there are moments when I think that these guys do look gassed. And then for Sabonis, I think there are moments when he should be, I'm sure, upset about the officiating, but it looks like that thing just dogs him, and he needs to forget about it at some point.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him. I'm not going to give him the gas excuse, even though they may be. I mean, I thought T.J. McConnell had spots because he played 42 minutes last night. This is the guy that's twice the minutes he normally plays. So I think there's no doubt some guys have their moments where they have lulls, but the Pacers haven't been hit by the COVID bug like other teams who've been missing 3 and 4 players who are winning, who are still who aren't doing these kinds of things. So I'm not going to give him that kind of out and use that excuse. I do think when option 1 and 2 are taken away from him, which is usually, Brogdon coming off the screen, Sabonis on his post up, or maybe McDermott making some sort of cut off of what Sabonis is doing. When that first 1 or 2 options are taken away, the offense kind of slows down. This team has to get stops on defense and get out in transition to get some easy buckets. If they do that, I think everything else kind of falls behind it. If they're not able to do that, I think they look a bit disjointed. And I think the reason why they haven't done it well in terms of getting stops, I look at Sabonis having to play out on the wing and defend so much. And, Coach Nate Bjorkgren likes him to close out any shooter. So it doesn't matter if it's Kevin Durant or if it's Ben Simmons, he wants him to close out that guy with the ball at the arc. And so Sabonis is having to run all the way out to the three-point arc and then having to chop his steps properly to recover if that guy drives. And that's not the strength of his game. And they're relying on Miles Turner or Goga when he's in to clean up when those drives go to the rim, when the ball gets inside the paint. And that's a high-risk, high-reward way to play, and I don't think they've figured out how to manage that yet. But I also think Sabonis doing that, I don't think that plays to his strength. You could tell he'll get frustrated when he gets caught out there on switches. I remember they played Brooklyn. He got caught out on a switch on James Harden and didn't have any help, and he got smoked, and he was visibly upset that I couldn't tell if it was because the switch happened or just because he didn't get any help. And those kind of things, I think that's where they got to figure out on the defensive end. And if they can figure that part out, the offensive part maybe gets easier, but the rebounding still is going to be an issue until they all make a concerted effort.
I thought the biggest moment of last night was when he got caught out there on Levine and he buried that 3 to put Chicago ahead. Because, I mean, if there's a miss there, I mean, you would like to think it's not for certain by any stretch rebounding-wise, but you'd like to think they could secure a rebound and then get fouled and close that thing out. But he buried that, and he looked, Sabonis on that closeout looked a little frustrated there.
Oh, that was a tough shot. I mean, I think Sabonis got a good contest on that shot, too. That's Levine's had a couple of plays like that down the stretch where he was unstoppable. And, when the Pacers gave up one of the second chance buckets in overtime that I spoke about, Miles Turner had to come out on the screen and help Justin Holiday because he had to slow down Levine. So when Turner then had to go back into the paint and put a body on Thad Young, he was caught on the wrong side of him when the ball came off. And what was happening on the other side? Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis, flat-footed, chasing the ball, instead of saying, wow, Miles is on Thad's right side. Thad's the only person rebounding. One of us has to get in front of Thad and hit him on the opposite side so the third guy for the Pacers could get the ball. Instead, Brogdon and Sabonis just jumped to try to get it out of the air. Young beats him to it, and it goes to a second chance bucket for Chicago. That was a backbreaker. So I just don't think they necessarily always identify where they got to help all the time and say, oh, well, that's Miles Turner's guy. Miles Turner's on that. We'll leave Miles to that. Miles was on the wrong side of that and needed help on that because Miles helped Justin Holiday stop Zach LaVine, who was killing him. So that's where I think the breakdown kind of happened routinely last night.
So, J. Michael, the stars on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So no Doug McDermott last night coming off that 26 he had in their win over Atlanta on Saturday. They're in Minnesota coming up tomorrow night. Do you expect him to be back?
Oh, well, he practiced today, so I think that's a good sign with his knee. I mean, I haven't heard anything definitive one way or the other. I think there's a good chance, maybe a better chance than not, that he comes back because if he wouldn't have practiced today, I'd say it's very unlikely that he would play if he wasn't able to get on the floor. So that's a good sign. If he doesn't come back for the Minnesota game, I don't think he would be out more than 2 games for the knee bruise. So we got to wait and see what the final call is going to be on that.
Nate Bjorkgren said, I think yesterday, that he expects to be able to give you guys some news on T.J. Warren in the not-so-distant future. When is your expectation there, and are you throwing a dart at a dartboard on when we're going to see these two guys for the first time at some point in the season?
Educated guess, I think you'll see LeVert first because LeVert is at least out there shooting and doing some things individually, though he's not fully practicing, whereas Warren hasn't done either. And plus, Warren has had a surgery to his foot, which is a different part of the body that's going to be affected by play. I don't think Warren comes back for. I would say there's a chance you could see LeVert maybe within a couple of weeks from now at the earliest. I don't think you'll see Warren for about closer to a month at the earliest.
Jay Michaels with us. Do you like the idea of an all-star game, given the circumstances and what's going on?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, absolutely not. Does this has the opportunity to derail some things if they're not careful with this, does it not?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I get it. I know financially, if it wasn't for the financial part, they wouldn't be doing this or taking this risk. I guess maybe Adam Silver feels like they got to do something so there's not a gap in the schedule that they missed an all-star game. But I mean, I'm thinking a long game here of what's the worst case scenario could wipe out the rest of your regular season and playoffs. And force you back or force you into a situation to where you're back in a bubble again somewhere for a restart. So I'm not crazy about it. I have no problem with them selecting all-stars, because guys have contract incentives and things like that are tied to those sorts of things. Maybe still having an all-star vote, selecting all-stars. Maybe if you did some sort of closed gym game between those guys and you still put it on TV, but you didn't have all the bells and whistles. And now I see that they're adding the dunk contest and 3-point shootouts, that's even gotten more absurd. So I don't get that part. Unless they did, the only thing I can understand, like if they want to do a dunk contest and 3-point shootout, if they did it where everybody was remote, almost like they used to do those old horse things. Remember the horse games they used to play during the
on CBS back in the day? Those were glorious. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If they wanted to do and have everybody via satellite and all their different places doing their thing, I mean, I guess that really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because you still wouldn't being in person for those guys kind of is part of what gets them juiced up and gets the competition going. But I think but that's what I'm saying. Like the only thing that would make sense is doing something like that. And I think even that would be that would be a huge stretch. So the game is a big enough stretch for me, but I didn't expect to see all of these other things being added on. But, the players union has to agree to some of this in order for it to happen. And it's not being forced down their throat. So obviously enough of them think that it's a plausible idea. But it's all tied to money. We understand that. And it's a tough one. But I didn't think we would be here discussing an all-star game, even if it's just a one-day event with 3-point shootout and slam dunk. That's a bit crazy to me.
Would the Pacers want one of the 3 guys, if they make the all-star team, to attend that?
I don't know what they would think about that. I would probably say probably not, but no one's ever told me that. Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm curious how many guys are, all of a sudden come down with the flu as an excuse to not go.
Right.
I mean, let me put it this way. If LeBron James said, I'm not playing, and Adam Silver said, well, we're going to fine you if you don't or suspend you, and he says, I don't care, what's going to happen? You're going to get rid. You're going to bench the biggest superstar in the game for what? A month? Fine him $1 million? No. I mean, so it's, it would take something like that to me to happen in order for this whole thing to fall apart, and that's that's not going to happen.
Do we know at all? Have you heard at all, J. Michael, about what the schedule for the Pacers will look like when this NCAA tournament? Because that thing's coming up in a big hurry here. What that schedule is going to look like once it's released for their home dates here during the tournament?
No idea. This stuff is being made up as they go, from what I understand.
Well, now you got to try to make up a home date with San Antonio because that's been postponed coming up Monday too. So,
yeah, I think the second half of this, however it shakes out, is going to be an adventure. I don't think we've hit the most difficult part of this yet. So, and I think if you look at this, that's why if you look at the standings, how many teams are in a Pacers position like 14-14, somewhere around 500?
Most of them,
Yeah, most of them. So as much as I'm being critical of how they played lately and what's wrong with them and what they got to fix and the sky is falling, there's a lot of teams that are discombobulated for either similar reasons or maybe even different reasons and have other things going on. And this is kind of hard to sort out. Other than the Utah Jazz and the Lakers, provided Anthony Davis is still healthy, and Philadelphia, those are the only three teams I know that are going to be there, or I believe are going to be there in some form or fashion at the end. Everybody else are just a bunch of huge question marks. So there's still a window for them to get Warren and LeVert back, get that thing together, finish the second half of the season strong, and, maybe we're talking about them getting out of the first round of the playoffs legitimately. So we're still kind of early. I think there's a lot of stuff that can happen, even though they haven't really separated themselves from the pack yet. Basically
a month away until college basketball's epicenter is right here. And somebody's going to have to be better than me to explain about how the Pacers aren't going to be out of town for a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, and that's going to impact results. It could impact them positively.
Well, because they suck at home and they're better on the road. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
Exactly. And Doug McDermott is always better on the road than at home anyway.
That's so true. So that is so true.
Actually, it actually could turn out well for them. Who knows? So that's what's so unpredictable. I tell you, the handicappers are having one hell of a time trying to figure out the point spreads on these games.
Man, it's going to be absolutely crazy. There's no doubt about that. All right, and I agree with you too on the landscape of the NBA. It's weird. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from one night to the other, and that includes, basically everybody so far this year, other than, maybe Utah, for example, it's been pretty smooth all the way. You just don't know, what you're going to get. And I will say this about the Pacers as well. Again, knock on wood, where other teams have been battling. We see San Antonio with it right now. Jason Tatum is back from it. They have they minded their business as far as trying to protect themselves from any missing of games because of COVID. They must be, at least to this point, doing a really strong job of it. So we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, you got some, you got to have a little bit of luck. And who knows? Maybe Utah ends up having some guys who end up in COVID protocol and it throws things off for a week or two and they lose their mojo. And we're not talking about Utah anymore. I mean, that's how unpredictable this is. And I normally would say I don't bet a dime on a lot of things anyway, because I can't trust it, but man, this is all over the map. So that's the silver lining, I think, for the Pacers when it comes to all of this. That despite that, it's not like they're, instead of 14-14, it's not like they're 5-23 or something. I mean, they're still in it with a chance to do something and create some separation at some point. But it's a crowded field right now.
J. Michael, the Star, his latest is regarding the Pacer lack thereof of rebounding, where it's not all about the bigs, and sometimes it is about the bigs, but he'll explain it in detail for you coming up. J. Michael, the Star, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you.
Likewise. Thank you.
J. Michael, the Star, Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I just the rebounding and the perimeter D, the D against the 3 is just something. Regardless, I don't see there being a great deal of change. How good were they? They weren't good rebounders a year ago as a team. Were they better than what they are right now, though? They were a year ago, right? Than what they are now?
I'll have to look it up here, but I feel like remembering last year, they were terrible.
They were.
Year. Like even worse than this year.
For some reason, I thought they were worse this year, but it hasn't been good. I mean, it was an issue last year, no question about it. All right, quick break. We shall return. Davis is going to lead on the other side, and I got you and me the rest of the way. Final 30 on this Tuesday at 239-1070. Email address is jmv@1070thefan.com. And once again, a spirited conversation inside the lounge on YouTube Live regarding a lot of things, NFL, and even some Boilermaker hoopage tonight. Purdue and Michigan State coming at you at 7 o'clock. Get you all in on that and more. This is 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan.
Rick Edelman, #1 New York Times bestselling author and founder of Edelman Financial Engines, takes questions on his hit radio show. Let's listen to Rick help a caller who's saving for retirement.
Hey, Rick. How can I keep my retirement money safe?
By taking some risk. That sounds weird, I know, but when it comes to saving for retirement, if you try to keep your money safe, you're actually taking big risks. Savings accounts, well, they're not safe from inflation. They're not safe from taxes. There are, in fact, 18 different asset classes, and they all have different risks. So spread your money around, so no one thing can wipe you out. It's like having 12 eggs in 12 baskets. Diversification helps you manage your risk while still giving you the opportunities provided by the financial markets.
That was award-winning radio host Rick Edelman. Get help diversifying your portfolio from one of our financial planners by calling 888-PLAN-RICK or visit rickedelman.com.
Hey, it's Love Heating and Air, 317-353-2141. Your heating unit during, this incredible time of need thing is working OT. I thought about mine, man. Mine has just been on seemingly forever. How warm do you keep it in your home? What do you keep yours set at, Kyle?
I keep it a nice 70 degrees.
70 degrees. I keep mine at 68. Now, the problem I have is I have vaulted ceilings, right? And the heat goes, right up to the top. Now, this can lead to your heating unit being overworked. So you got to keep an eye on it, especially during these really cold temp times, and know that you have John and Chris Love of Love Heating and Air with your back. 317-353-2141 can fix any issue anytime, 24/7, 365 during these weather conditions, and then some. Whatever you need, they have you. Plus, the state-of-the-art iWave air purification system. You mentioned that you want it. They'll give you $125 off. All you have to do is say, I heard it on JMV. I want $125 off the iWave. Get it done for me, and they will do just that. 317-353-2141. Online, love-hvac.com today.
Hey guys, looking for a reason to spend 3 days on the couch watching basketball? Schedule your vasectomy at Urology of Indiana for a Thursday or Friday, then sit back, relax, and catch some games over the weekend while you recover. It may be the only time your wife approves of hoarding the couch and the remote control. My vasectomy at Urology of Indiana was simple and took only about 15 minutes. Soon after, I was out the door and on my way home. During my recovery, I took ibuprofen and was back in my office in 3 days. The docs at Urology of Indiana are board certified and perform vasectomies every day of the week, all year long. They are pros at what they do, and they have multiple vasectomy clinics, so chances are good there's one close to you. If you've been putting off your vasectomy, now is the time. You'll never have a better excuse to watch basketball.
Call Urology of Indiana or visit vasectomyindy.com for information and to schedule an appointment. That's vasectomyindy.com.
Every play is a play to bet on. Whether it's who scores next, a three-pointer, or a free throw, it could be the play that matters to you. So bet live at Unibet Sportsbook. Live betting options for every moment of the game. Sign up today and get $250 in risk-free bets. Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Unibet Sportsbook. crazy about the odds. Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Small business owners, is your internet making office tasks painfully slow? Are your file upload speeds sluggish? Are your video calls choppy? You need more speed. AT&T Business Fiber gives you up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. Faster upload speeds mean smoother, less glitchy video conferencing and faster file transfers. Visit att.com/businessfast or call 844-661-FAST to get our best price on our best service. Imagine it, up to 20 times faster upload speeds at half the price of cable. AT&T experts can help you upgrade to AT&T Business Fiber. Soon, you're going to love your internet. Call 844-661-FAST now. Comparison by Telogical Systems, 12-2020.
It's Terry Stacy for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains. Owner Beth Rovazzini says to keep you safe, they've implemented a zero-contact service call.
We can give you a quote for a new American Standard furnace and air conditioning system without ever coming to your home. With technology today, between FaceTime and Zoom and everything, we can get all the information. You can be in your home, we'll get the information, and we'll send you a proposal.
Check them out at bigbblacktrucks.com. B&W, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Greenwood is like a sports bar for your head. It's on State Road 135, just north of Smith Valley Road. Lady Jane's in Greenwood, it's wicked awesome.
Join the Crew Car Wash Unlimited Club and wash whenever you want. Sign up at any of their locations to get unlimited washes and unlimited savings.
Here it is, JMV, and it's time for your soccer scoreboard update, brought to you by your hometown club, the Indy 11, heading back to Carroll Stadium for home matches this season. To keep up with all things on the boys in blue, download the Indy 11 app today. PSG 4, Barcelona won earlier today in the Euro Champions League round of 16, and it was, well, RB Leipzig falling. They're blanked by Liverpool. That final 2-0 in that match earlier today. Again, the Indy 11, Carroll Stadium, home matches this season. Everything Indy 11 you can find right now. Download that Indy 11 app. Utilize it today.
The Ride with JMV.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, 25-year anniversary for what film? What film celebrating 25 years today that has a little sports twist but is a highly rated comedy?
I believe that is an all-time classic, Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, indeed it is. Happy Gilmore celebrating 25 years since its release. Is that the best that Adam Sandler has offered up? Happy Gilmore. Where are we with that? Hey, Lounge YouTube Live, let's go with this. Happy Gilmore is the best Adam Sandler film of all time. Yes or no? Most enjoyable, most fun.
That's up there. Benchwarmers. I guess was that Adam Sandler? That was Rob Schneider. That was some of the other guys in his crew.
Right.
But Adam Sandler, man, he's had so many good ones trying to go back through the years, but probably Happy Gilmore, number one.
I bet you if people were going to gauge, as I'm doing right now, most would suggest that Happy Gilmore is the best that Sandler has done for them, for overall enjoyment. I remember once upon a time, we were I forget when that was. I had him on back during the Super Bowl run, and it was fun as hell. Like Matthew Stansberry says 50 first dates. I don't even know if I've seen that.
Grown Ups, the first Grown Ups was good. That was a funny movie.
I like Grown Ups. I do. I like the first Grown Ups. I like Don't Mess with the Zohan.
I've never seen that one.
The other reason why it's long and it's funny, and he's got a fish and he catches a fish in his ass, and that's pretty funny. But it has what's her name from Entourage. That's okay. You notice. He never goes without having a smoking hot significant other in any of these films, right? I mean, smoking hot, significant other.
Have you seen Uncut Gems? His latest.
I have not seen that. Is that good?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's about sports gambling.
Yeah, sports gambling, right?
But it's not a funny movie.
Yeah, see, Billy Madison, Wedding Singer, I guess was all right, but
Longest Yard.
No, because I'm original Longest Yard guy. Like the '74 version with Burt Reynolds was in both, but Burt Reynolds was the star of the original. To me, the original is much better.
Click.
Click is one of the Kevin. Is that Kevin James?
That was. I don't think he's in. No, that was Adam Sandler.
Okay.
He's got the remote. He can stop time, go forward and backwards.
Yeah, I liked Zohan. Zohan was pretty good. It made me laugh. It was long, and there were parts in it. He go when he's like, because he wanted to do hair, right? He was working in the beauty shop. I remember all the old women were coming in, and they were playing Adam Ant Strip. That was pretty good. But I do like Grown Ups.
Is the greatest job in the world is to be in that clique with Adam Sandler? You know, he just brings you on every movie he's got.
Would you rather be in that clique or the Judd Apatow clique?
Adam Sandler.
Because they all get gigs too. And so they've mixed together. I mean, the whole Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I'd go Adam Sandler. Because he just seems to make movies that he just wants to make, that he thinks are going to be funny.
And he keeps his guys in it too. I had Vern Lundquist on here once.
Oh, he's got
years to go.
Dan Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
He loves bringing those sports guys in.
Vern Lundquist was on here, and we talked about it. He was awesome in talking about the Happy Gilmore. I mean, really good.
I remember we had Rob Schneider on the show
a
couple of years ago. He was performing over at.
He was with Adam Sandler right? He was
at the time. It was Clips,
at Ruoff. So.
And he was saying, I think you asked him, when's your next movie with Adam Sandler? And he says, well, we just kind of wait. Adam says he's got a movie, and we say, all right, let's start filming.
Let's go. I do like the original Grown Ups, and his wife was Salma Hayek in that. I mean, every film, his wife or his significant other is completely outclassing him, right? I mean, he goes for the gusto there.
I think it was 50 First Dates. It was Brooklyn Decker.
Yeah.
Was the chick there.
I was trying to think
Jennifer
who else.
Aniston. He's got a few movies with Jennifer Aniston now.
I got to go back and look at some of the he does it right. He's not fooling around when it comes to that stuff. Who was the one? Julie Bowen, right? Julie Bowen was the one in the 90s in Happy Gilmore. Kind of set the trend a little bit for him. But normally his significant other is smoke-tacular. Davis at 239-1070. Davis, go ahead.
Oh, JMV, how you doing? It's
Great.
Dennis, actually.
Yeah, good to hear from you. Thanks for calling.
It's all good. I heard one of the earlier emails about the Pacers just looking tired, and you had alluded to that earlier too. And I've also been hearing the other callers and the other emails, and there's a distinct pattern. I would say as a fan, me personally, I'm tired. It seems like our teams, we are just good enough. Year after year, we're just good enough.
Yeah, I know. People are looking at it that way. It's kind of rebooting the same thing is what you're talking about here. With the exception of, it's not, I mean, they got LeVert in here now, and they have a new coach, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what LeVert and Warren are able to bring to the table. I really do think that's a big chunk of offense and a leadership that's missing from our team right now. But man, they just look like they're just out there doing whatever. And also with the Colts, man, this is the worst type of situation I think we could probably find ourselves in right here. We've got all the pieces, but we just can't seem to get anybody, and that's for the Pacers also. It just seems like we're asleep at the wheel, and we're not willing to make the big, splashes or the big sacrifices or spend the big money.
Would you call a big splash Carson Wentz? Is that what? Because I call it just bringing in a quarterback because you need a quarterback. But would Carson Wentz, especially trading for him, as has been reported, the Colts are really high on that particular list. Would you call that a big splash?
I would call that definitely a bigger splash than Phillip Rivers. And I would definitely be satisfied with that. I believe you could build something off of that. But I would definitely love to hear that we went after those other guys. Definitively, we went after them. Not a rumor, not, hey, we did show some interest. I want to see some actual gumption when it comes to getting real guys who can make a real difference for our teams.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you call anytime. Thank you very much. They just need a quarterback, so I don't call that it's a major move when it comes from Chris Ballard, who is very like his squirrel in the wintertime with nuts, very protective of his draft selections. Wants to hoard those draft selections, but last year it worked out when they made that deal for DeForest Buckner, and you got to have a quarterback. And trying to trade for one is the only thing that makes sense to anybody, unless you just go ahead and decide to want to try to move up as best you can in the draft. But, I mean, even if you do move up now, a likelihood of somebody that you really like. I've been told, and I've said this in the past, they like Justin Fields a great deal, but you're not going to make it all the way up there. Yeah, Kate Beckinsale was his wife in Click, right? He's always making sure that he's covered with hotness.
Yeah, and someone brought up, and this is actually my favorite now that I think about it, Waterboy. Waterboy is my number one Adam Sandler movie.
See, Trevor says you guys are butchering your Adam Sandler knowledge. No, I'm not. I'm just giving you what I like. I like where he's married to Selma Hayek, and I like when he's married when his girlfriend turned out to be Emmanuel Shariki. And Happy Gilmore. Boom, done. Quick win final time. We'll come back with you. Rakestraw, Monson, J. Michael, Podcast 1075, thefan.com. Back with you. We'll set you up for Wednesday's show and close out this one on a Tuesday with you next.
It's cold outside, but things are heating up inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum as the Fuel continue their great season. For tickets, head to our contest page at 1075thefan.com.
My daughter's making college plans, and she's got a long wish list for her future. We toured IUPUI, and we're impressed. With the campus located in downtown Indianapolis, she'll have access to real-world opportunities that will put her education to work. And with professors ranked in the top 50 nationwide for exceptional undergraduate teaching, she'll have the guidance she needs to make her future goals a reality. Want to know more? Go to iupui.edu.
Hey, John, for LD Smith Plumbing, 317-284-9526. How you doing plumbing-wise? If you have any situation whatsoever, because obviously during weather conditions and temperatures like this, your plumbing can become compromised. But just knowing that you have locally Lance and his team at LD Smith Plumbing should make you feel a heck of a lot better. 317-284-9526. Lance and his team, they're the absolute best. Lance and his team, they are local. Lance and his team can do whatever you need, large or small, emergency or whatever, 24/7. 365. And right now, Lance is going to offer up this for you, too. You mentioned my name. They're going to give you $50 off any service. So mention my name. They're going to give you $50 off of any service. It is a company that you absolutely trust, especially if you have issues, large or small, with your plumbing right now. It's LD Smith Plumbing. 317-284-9526. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
That should do it with your new Anderson 400 series windows. So stylish and easy to install. I have these exact ones in my own home.
Honestly, John, we couldn't be happier.
They're perfect.
They last a long time. Don't think you'll be needing me again. So this is probably goodbye. Alex, Julie, we'll see ya.
I hate goodbyes.
Alex, John was our contractor.
Anderson 400 series are the windows contractors trust most. Learn more at andersonwindows.com. 2020 Anderson brand survey of U.S. contractors. Visit andersonwindows.com for warranty details.
Hey, let me tell you about my guy, Mark Deedle. MarkDeedle.com. That's Mark Deedle Realty at 317-755-4232. Going to get the job done for you. Whatever you're thinking about doing with your home or what you think, moving, maybe upgrading your square footage because your family is growing. It's MarkDeedle.com. That's MarkDietel.com today. Or if you're downsizing and you got some kids maybe moving out of the house, going on to college, 317-755-4232. The housing market has been on fire, and you want to deal with whatever you're doing. You want to deal with the absolute best. And let me tell you, that is Mark Deedle Realty. MarkDeedle.com. 317-755-4232. You want the best in this situation, and I'm giving you the best right now. Tell them that I sent you. That's MarkDeedle.com. MarkDietel.com. Today.
The nonstop action of tennis takes center court at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Bet Rivers serves up an exciting tennis betting experience like no other, with a massive number of live in-game betting options, including point-by-point betting. But don't just bet on the game live. Watch it live. Bet Rivers Sportsbook live streams a huge number of tour events from around the world throughout the tennis season. Try it today, and Bet Rivers will match your first deposit up to $250. It's a winner. Bet on tennis at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. Go now to BetRivers.com. Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8444.
The Pacers are on the road to play the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow night at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Greg Rakestraw, Sam Monson, Pro Football Focus. J. Michael, the Star, podcast 1075thefan.com. This is a tweet from Dave. Hey, JMV, I ran into Philip Rivers sledding with his kids this morning in Westfield. Can confirm he is enjoying retirement. I'll be damned, that's him right there. That is him right there. It looks like he's got tennis shoes on, though. I got to have some boots. I got to have my boots. It's Philip Rivers in Westfield sledding with his kids. Dave. That's outstanding work from Dave. Dave from Brownsburg writes this. Where can I get a JMV Sucks t-shirt? Having a brain fart. I don't know when's the next time. Somebody will have to ask Alex and Brian at the shop in Broad Ripple and Carmel when we're going to get our next batch of JMV Sucks t-shirts. I'm ready for them. JMV Sandler, oh, by the way, too, that's the shop in Broad Ripple and Carmel. And Dave, ask him two things. Ask him when we can expect the next JMV Sucks t-shirts to be released, and then ask them when we're going to get a JMV Takeover one. We've got to have some JMV Takeover. JMV Sandler crew, Gen Xers, seems like a much cooler group. I'll hang with them. I think Sandler's, 4 years older than me? Was he the class of 84 or something like that? I'm 51. Maybe he's 55.
He's 54.
54, class of 85 then for Sandler. I remember when Sandler, the first time I saw Sandler was on MTV's game show, if you remember, in the late 80s, early 90s, known as Remote Control. Because Colin Quinn, who went on as well as Sandler to be a part of Saturday Night Live, was also there. And because I had a thing for Kari Wurr. Kari was smoking. And I had a thing. As did a lot of other dudes. I once saw Kari Wurr, and it was weird. My girlfriend, now wife, Christy, and I were on Santa Monica Pier in L.A., and she came out of the bathroom and was surrounded by, I don't know if it was like a Girl Scout group or what. I doubt it, but she was surrounded by like 15 girls, like young girls. And they were all yelling, Kari. You guys remember Kari? The late, great Ken Ober was the host of Remote Control. That's the first time I saw Sandler. Reason why I bring that up is because it's the 25th anniversary of Happy Gilmore, and most people suggest is the greatest of the Adam Sandler film catalog. Happy Gilmore, 25 years old today. JMV, the best movie is with Kate Beckinsale. He always had a hot smoking wife. Kate Beckinsale's one. Click. That's what Kyle said, too. So, anyway, it's from Mark. JMV, concerning the lapse in rebounding for the Pacers, didn't the Pacers lose their best defensive coach this year? And they did, and their defense is certainly not the same, but their numbers a year ago, and Kyle looked this up, rebounding-wise was basically the same as their numbers this year. So the rebounding was bad a year ago, too. And that has been problematic, without question. All right. You guys have been great today. Thank you very much. We'll get back with you coming up on tomorrow's show. Boilermakers, Michigan State coming up at 7 o'clock, and we'll dive into that, I'm sure, coming up on tomorrow's show. And get you set for some Hoosier hoopage coming up later on this week. Butler and Marquette's coming up tomorrow night. The Pacers in Minnesota tomorrow night. Remember, the news today is, as far as the Pacers schedule is concerned, their game with San Antonio, which was supposed to take place Monday at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, has been postponed. The Spurs had 4 players test positive for COVID-19, so that game has been postponed. Rakestraw, Monson, J. Michael, podcast 1075thefan.com. Kyle, great job out of you. The Lounge on YouTube Live. Once again, another spectacular day. Well done. Thank you very much. Stay warm. We'll get back with you coming up tomorrow. Hopefully our kids are back to school tomorrow. 93.5, 107.5, and 1070 The Fan. Have a great night.
Sports with Dan Takich.
Chris Ballard, are you concerned about the quarterback position?
We know how important the position is. This league is driven by the position. But saying that, you need a team around that position. Teams win, coaches win. It's not just the quarterback. Is the quarterback important? Absolutely it is. And we'll look at every avenue to make sure we have a guy that is functional and can produce at a winning level for us.
Dan Takich, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Did I remember to turn off the coffee pot? Did I close the garage? I need to pay the electric bill today. Wait, did I even pay it last month? What's that smell? Is that me? No, not me. People think it's. Should I accuse someone else before they accuse dry cleaning? Someone else. After the dry cleaning, I need to pick up the even like coffee pot. They don't like me because they think stop leaving the coffee.
Silence can be distracting. Distracted workers cost American businesses up to $650 billion a year. Lencore Sound. Google it.
Like the station, Lencore is a subsidiary of EMS Communications.
Who is running your business anyway? You may ask yourself this sometimes as the owner of a business or partner in a practice group. Take your internet and phone service. You've pivoted to do more business virtually. But when dealing with the hiccups that come with that, your managed service provider puts the burden on you, saying,
Check your gateway and firewall.
Frustrated, you say that's what you need them for. But what you get back is,
Okay. Put in a ticket and I'll get back to you next week.
Maybe it's time to get control.
This is Troy Brasso, owner of Teltech Business. There's no consultant double talk or call center runaround with Teltech Business. We specialize in premium business internet and voice over IP for Central Indiana companies like Skilling Corporation and Tempe CPAs, and often at a price that's much less than what you're paying now. Give us a try.
Take control and start saving today. Let local professionals help you with your business, internet, and VoIP needs. Call Teltech Business for a free review today at 317-390-8585.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with HeroLoan.com. If you qualify, the VA loan program is the best option out there. You can buy a house with no money down, and you can cash out refinance up to 100% of your home's appraised value. At HeroLoan.com, we pay for your appraisal and can close your VA loan in as little as 14 days. Whether you're refinancing or buying a home, visit HeroLoan.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
Terry Stacy here for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W.